Greetings, Internet. Welcome back to this channel for more Ghost of Tsushima. And tonight we're going to be doing Jin's armor and all that fun stuff. Just have to get the right controller. This is not the right controller. It's a good controller, but it's not the right one. So this one is the right one because it's glowing. Aha! I can be taught. All right. So, let's see. What did I do since the last Ghost of Tsushima stream? I did a bunch of research on Tsushima and 13th and 14th century Japan because couldn't sleep last night. So I figured, why not? It's kind of fun. This game is amazing, but yeah, this game is amazing, but it's not really. It follows more Japanese myth, like, of what the shinobi was than what the shinobi actually were. What? What about my shirt? Love you too. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm trying to say something else. It's code. I'll text you. I'm texting you now.
Okay. Where's the bird going? So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about some Japanese stuff. So, like, ninjas did not really dress the way that Jin did. They did wear dark clothing, and sometimes they would wear thief masks, but for the most part, ninjas were basically like Secret Service or CIA or MI6. They were, you know, they were spies, basically. And they were so into their spy stuff that... What? What do you want?
You worked really late last night.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's just, it's a day.
My lord is still out there.
No, it's a day, honey. I would be concerned if it was like a few days.
Alright, fine. Have a nice day.
Thank you. What's going on?
He came at night. Did you see it?
Calm down. What's your name?
Shino, my lord.
Shino. Tell me what you saw.
A river child. Kappa.
A demon? You sure?
It's just like the stories my father told me. A monster in the river. Claw marks in the soil.
You're lucky to be alive.
I hid while my father went to go scare the Kappa away. Then I heard splashing
See.
and screaming.
I will check on him, Shino. Stay here, away from the water.
Ooh, we get to do some Japanese myth. I'm getting back to it. So we're going to be doing the Kappa thing, the river children. Also based on Japanese myth. So anyway,
Be careful, my lord.
I will be fine.
Kappa hung.
So, shinobi was another class of samurai. At least they started as a samurai, most of them. There are cases of farmers being assassins and things like that, but they were not shinobi. They were not, over time, I guess, you know, some folklore ends up becoming, you know, what people really believe that ancient times were a little bit. And the idea of this figure clad in black with a mask and a samurai sword and, you know, really no protection whatsoever, which ninja or shinobi actually did wear like a chain or some type of armor underneath their clothing. So it's not like they were just running around in a gi. They did have some form of protection, but the idea that this ninja clan could go around and challenge the might of an armored samurai. Why? It's not accurate. It's not true. It's been romanticized quite a bit. Ninjas and shinobi did exist, as well as thieves and thief tactics, but
That's a lot.
Yeah, the idea of shinobi going around and sneaking into shogunates' houses and assassinating them in their sleep, that was more thieves that looked like your traditional version of a ninja, kind of, than what a shinobi was. Shinobi was a person that they could spend their whole life undercover, like as a blacksmith, or if it was a female, like a geisha, or the wife of a noble, or whatever, and they would have everyone fooled. And what they would do is they would go around and give information to their lord. They would open up the doors to the towns they lived in to invite the samurai in to slaughter their enemies. And this was like your next door neighbor who you probably knew your entire life, but secretly they were a shinobi.
They work for the NSA.
You know?
Half-eaten fish. Something was rather.
It's really, really different.
So yeah, Luke was explaining it to me that basically they weren't like necessarily like the legend says that they were farmers that rose up and like were trying to like use their own tactics and like stuff like that. But in reality, a lot of the shinobi were actually trained samurai, and they were actually still samurai. They didn't stop being samurai when they became shinobi. They actually were a special elite force of samurai that used like very
Guerrilla warfare.
very intense tactics, and they were like kind of like Black Ops or like CIA.
Something was in a hurry.
No, they were like Green Berets or...
Green Berets, and then they would wear disguises and be like super secret spy, like, but also like secret ops people.
And they did work at night.
Tracks.
Because shinobi means the hidden one, or shadow of the hidden one. And the first real famous shinobi that everybody gets this idea is the guy who is called like the sword demon, Hanzo. And he is, I believe, 1560 or 1562 is the exploits of Hanzo, who was the first like shinobi lord or whatever. And he did do a lot of the stuff that most people incorporate with shinobi. He did assassinate people. He did kill a lot of guards stealthily. He used guerrilla warfare. He did have a ninja school or a dojo where he taught like this guerrilla warfare. And his students, and I believe one of his sons, also continued that legacy. But it's very different than what's been romanticized, which is a shame. But
maybe like what I was thinking is maybe some of the samurai that became secret ops people, like maybe they taught some farmers how to do stuff.
Well, I mean, the idea that ninjas were farmers, technically it's correct because the shinobi who went undercover, they were farmers. They were monks. They
posed as farmers.
Well, they really became that trade, though.
But then they didn't.
But they started out as samurai.
Yeah, they learned it from samurais, like their techniques. So they used all the samurai techniques, plus they would use other brutal, like freaky techniques that they also.
They also wouldn't carry your traditional samurai sword. A lot of the depictions of ninjas using like the curved like katana, or like whatever the 12th century or 13th century sword was. This wasn't called a katana yet. The katana came later. This is still a curved blade, samurai sword, but it's a little different. So, what ninjas would do, or thieves, they would steal a samurai's sword, and they would use that. Whereas most times, the sword that you would use to commit seppuku, a ninja or a shinobi would use as their kind of blade, but they didn't like to use things that would glisten in the night, because it would give away their position. So they would use claws, they would use a sickle and a chain, which was one of their main forms of combat. And, yeah, it was very, very different. The shuriken were not really used as a weapon to kill the enemy. It was more used as a way to distract and also to wound. It wasn't really... I mean, there were people that were definitely sharpshooters and stuff, but it's not what it was. Samurai also used shuriken as a stabbing thing, like during combat. They would hide it under their palm like this, and you could throw it, or you could also stab people. So it was just kind of used to disorient people and throw them off.
That's cool.
But it could be thrown. Kunai were also mostly stabbing weapons. They weren't really used to be thrown at people, like is depicted in a lot of Japanese stuff.
Maybe you could throw it as a last resort.
I mean, you could. Usually they would dip it in poison, though, because it
Ugh.
was, yeah, there was a lot of poison used. What is it telling me? Track the kappa. Oh, there we go.
Isn't the kappa like a...
Kappa, sorry.
Isn't it like a, water spirit or something?
It's a water spirit that drags people into the water and kills people.
Oh, Luke, maybe you shouldn't be so close to the water. You're gonna die.
There's the father.
Must be Shino's father. The cuts are savage but clean. Possibly from a blade. His killer may have left a trail.
Mm-hmm.
More tracks. Going this way.
But, yeah, it's, I mean, I've always liked ninjas and shinobi, but I was kind of, like, ever since the
That's kinda
early
sad.
1900s, people have been changing up how the shinobi were depicted. So they took things that thieves did, like famous thieves that would strike in the night and assassinate and cut people's throats and stuff like that when stealing. They incorporated that as the ninja were working for the shogunate, and they would go in and they would be like stealth assassins. And the only people that ended up getting killed by shinobi in the middle of the night would be a guard that was unlucky enough to be a guard that night. The shinobi were mostly about stealing intel. They weren't really about going in and assassinating like different feudal lords. But if you were a guard out in the night, yeah, you could get like a needle to the back of your neck with some like poison dart, or they could stab you with their short sword, or slit your throat with like I'm trying to remember the name of it. They had all kinds of little weapons. But it was mostly just like killing guards in the night.
If I was...
Because you couldn't see them. If it was tipped off that, you know, someone was in the compound, then security would be tightened. And if their job is to, you know, survey and then report, if they're seen, then it's going to make it difficult for the invading army. So they would have to kill the guards. So that's also where some of that idea that ninjas were assassins came from, because they did kill people. They weren't like going after people necessarily as targets. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different.
It wasn't kappa. Just thieves and murderers. Monsters just the same.
Speaking of monsters, we're going to do monstrous things.
Oh, people didn't know if you were going to play Samurai Jack.
Yes, I'm going to be playing Samurai Jack on my other channel. Whoops. Oh. All right, here we go. Yeah, but when you guys are thinking, oh, the look of the ninja is so cool, and that look is depicted starting around, I believe there are some murals from the 17th or 18th century that shows kind of like a traditional view of what a ninja is, but that's a thief. Thieves wore black and dark like blue, and a mask to cover their face so they could hide their identity. Thieves also would kill themselves if they were caught,
They likely stole from Shino's
because nobody liked thieves.
I actually know something about why the whole like all black thing started to like be really popular for ninjas. It's like because of kabuki theater.
Yep.
The people that were stagehands would also be in ninja outfits at the same time, so they could save on wardrobe. So when you had the stagehand, you'd wear all black so that they wouldn't see you moving the props on the stage. So basically, they would just use that as also your ninja outfit. So that was why people thought ninjas were all black.
All right, so it's a flute. Kappas are no more.
Return it to her.
But yeah, I feel kind of sad after you researched a lot of that, because it's like stuff like Naruto and stuff probably really wouldn't be that accurate.
Well, I mean,
fighters in the Hidden Leaf
the martial arts known as ninjutsu is based after a type of like shinobi combat that people still to this day. There are people in Japan that argue that the shinobi were real in the sense that people incorporate with their own mythology. I mean, it's something that no matter if it gets corrected by like scholars and stuff like that, people still have this idea that this is what a ninja was.
So basically, some people disagree. They think that there really were farmers and stuff that learned this.
Well, because, I mean, you find old texts and things, but you don't know if it's folklore, and you don't know if it's real. But you do, the shinobi did exist, and thieves did exist in ancient Japan. It's just, it's kind of the combination of the two, shinobi and thief. It's not just shinobi did all this. It's like the thieves were the assassins and the cutthroats. Shinobi were like the James Bond, but sometimes they also were shadowy killers. All depends.
That's fun.
But they just weren't, that wasn't their, you know, they wouldn't get like a messenger pigeon telling them, I need you to go assassinate this guy. It was like, all right, I'm going to need you to go live in this castle for 30 years and then report back to my son your findings and see if this place is legit or we need to overthrow them. Something like that. Or, you know, in warfare, they went behind enemy lines. They would pose as enemies.
Sleeper agents.
Sleeper agents, yeah, basically. But they did do stuff by the cover of night. And Hanzo was the most famous shinobi. And Hanzo is a famous name for a lot of ninja characters in, you know, pop culture.
Cool.
He's dead.
I'm sorry, Shino.
The Kappa killed
She
him.
looks so pretty.
Not Kappa. Thieves.
No. Only a demon could do such a thing.
Desperation can bring out the demon in the best of men. Is there somewhere you can go?
Akashima. My aunt is from there.
Did this belong to your father?
Yes.
But she just planted all her crops. How is she gonna leave now?
It's not safe.
He'll travel to
She'll
Akashima
die
with me.
without food.
Thank you. I'll head for towns.
But I mean, what I love about this game is like all the folklore that they're basically, this guy is supposed to be Hanzo. Like the things that he does, like how his nickname is like something of a demon swordsman in this game, and some of his techniques of assassinating the enemy using guerrilla warfare, that's all depictions of what Hanzo did. Hanzo was the guy who went behind enemy lines, used guerrilla warfare, and guerrilla warfare is stealth techniques. It's stealth. It's, you know, not giving your position away to the enemy, and it's not all historically accurate what Hanzo did, because no Japanese scholar really knows the type of things that Hanzo did. He was able to get the nickname the Demon because he probably did some horrible things to his enemies, like barbaric things and brutal things. Some of this game's story is based on the exploits of Hanzo. Most ninja games, whether Tenchu or Ninja Gaiden, a couple other ones, they're all based on exploits of like different shinobi from history.
Maybe he was
But
trying to put fear.
romanticized.
Oh. Maybe he was trying to make people afraid of...
Oh, probably. He was trying to make people afraid. But some of the tactics that were used against the Mongols were actually used by the samurai during the it's kind of like a 3-year war between the Mongols, Korea, Southern Chinese, and I believe, besides the Mongols that were part of the Mongol Empire, I think it was the Iranians or the Middle East. I don't remember.
I mean,
the Mongols conquered even Russia.
Yeah, they stretched a long way.
And their last conquest that they tried to do, well, I mean, they went into Vietnam too, but I don't remember if they won that or not. I don't think so. I think once the Mongols tried to invade Japan and they lost, or rather, they stopped, that's kind of when the Mongol Empire started to fall apart a little bit. And shortly after Kodo Khan's death and the death of his wife and his son, I believe his grandson or somebody else was on the throne, and the Mongol Empire started to be divided up between the remaining retainers that were still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And Kodo Kan or whatever never got to come back to try to attack Japan for a third time. He only did it twice. And each time he was defeated by the elements. Which is interesting because the first time he learned from it, he was like, okay, I'm totally not going to go attack Japan during typhoon season. So what happens? He goes at a time that's not known for typhoons, and he get wiped out by typhoons again, which are dubbed the kamikaze winds. So it's like, wow, the dude could not catch a break. But the samurai were actually prepared for him the second time he invaded. Even though they easily wiped out Tsushima, and I think it was Hiki, or Hekai, or I don't remember. There's another small island that's near Tsushima that's got wiped out by the Mongols, became Mongol territory. Even the southern Chinese, after the fall of Sung, the Sung Empire in China, which was the last resistance against the Mongols in Asia, except for Japan, they ended up joining the fight too, and they came late. But there was a lot of military blunders that happened the second time. A lot of it, the Japanese got smart. So the year between the Mongol invasion, the first time after Tsushima, and they got all the way into a few places in mainland Japan. Like, the Mongols actually did land on Japan. And they faced, like, I think it was 200 samurai, like, archers. And they had some footmen and stuff like that. And the Japanese were able to hold them back. But in the middle of one of the beaches, the Mongols were able to push forward. And they got inland, and they destroyed, like, 3 towns. But they had to be pushed back to the ocean, and that's when the big winds, the big storm happened. And then after that, they retreated, and the shogun was like, okay, it's a big problem that they're able to just march up on our beaches, without any issues. They can get past their samurai, so we need to build a wall. So he builds like this massive castle wall over the course of, I think it's like an entire year. And the next time the Mongols come, they have to try to get past this massive wall. They easily, storm Tsushima and the other small islands to get back to Japan, but they could not breach the wall. So he had archers, like, on top of the wall, shooting, at them. And Japanese samurai, like, they were very proficient with the bow. Like, just like the Mongols. The Mongols, like, horse archers were legendary. Samurais with bows and arrows were legendary. So you had like an entire, I don't know, it would be like a platoon or a group or whatever of bowmen on horses for the samurai. Then you had samurai up in the towers or the wall shooting at them with fire arrows, all kinds of stuff. But that wasn't their only tactic that they used. So not only were they fighting people, on the wall, they also had like splinter groups of younger samurai lords that did not want to do it the traditional way, and they got in trouble for this. But that incorporates some of this game's mechanics of stealth, too. What they would do is they would get on small fishing boats, and they would go to the giant Mongol ships, and the Mongols would be sitting there drinking and doing whatever, and their officers or their commanders would be on the deck, and these are the guys that are bilingual, so they spoke Korean, they spoke, I'm trying to think.
Mongolian.
No. Mandarin. They spoke Mandarin. They spoke Korean, and they spoke another like Asian language, even a little bit of Japanese. So they were the ones that were bilingual, and they were giving commands and stuff like that. So the Japanese samurai, in a small boat of like, I think it was like 5 or 10 guys or whatever, they would board the ships of the Mongols, assassinate the Mongol officers. And then they would cause chaos the next day because the troops that were different nationalities or cultures and languages, they couldn't be issued commands as well because the dude who was issuing commands was killed the night before. So it caused dissension, and eventually I think it was the Korean or the Southern Chinese like sailed back, and that's when the second tsunami happened.
Wow.
So, I mean, there was just like so much bad stuff that happened to the second invasion that it wasn't possible for them to ever win.
So the Mongolian army, after it picked up people from Korea and China and stuff, like, not everybody spoke the same language anymore.
No, they didn't have enough time because, they'd conquer Korea. I think maybe they had conquered Korea for maybe 10 years before, like 1260 something is when Korea fell to the Mongols. And that's when I don't agree with people with this. Like there are people on Twitter saying, well, the Mongols, like, they weren't harsh. They didn't do anything wrong. It's like they basically gave a letter of war in like 1266, I think, to the Japanese like leader, and told them, hey, our Khan guy has been ordained under heaven, which is a thing that the Chinese would do. The emperor is like the god, like the, you know, heaven has ordained him or whatever. Mm-hmm. So Kodo Khan said the same thing, that I am the king of Asia. It would be foolish for you to take up arms against me. That's a threat. So the Japanese completely ignored him. And then over the course of 10 years, when he kept sending emissaries to Japan, eventually Japan got so mad they executed his emissaries because he kept threatening them. And then I think it was like 2 years after they executed the emissaries, that's when he invaded Tsushima. And so, I mean, he was always planning on conquering them. He was never just like, oh, we can live in peace. No, he was a conqueror. The dude conquered Russia and parts of the Middle East. He did Korea, all of China, most of Asia. You know, it was not, the Mongols were not a good group of people. They were bad. They even would take, in Japan, what they did to mess with the samurai, which they haven't shown in this game, kind of glad about that, is they would actually tie civilians around their front to act as a human shield for arrows. These were people that were taken alive for the point that they could strike fear in the Japanese samurai, who loved their people, and they would see them tied to them like human shields, and they would be like the shields for the arrows of the samurai.
Oh my gosh.
They also would put like rope through the wrist of several civilians, like children and women, and put them on the bow of their ship, so that when the ships were coming into the Japanese waters, they would see the Mongols were barbarians. They're bad. They were not good people.
Sick.
Yes, that was one of their tactics for warfare, though. It was intimidation.
It reminds me of like the Assyrians, or
it was pretty bad.
Horrible empires that just use torture and.
So when you have like all these Twitter Puritans and stuff like that saying like, oh, you know, everything was fine, like the this game is like not accurate to the Mongols. Historically, yes, it is. it is.
They were using inhumane, like basically crimes of war. Like,
oh yeah,
they were just basically treating people like. They were just like basically putting people through psychological, physical, and mental torture.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
They were treating human beings like pieces of meat, and they were just torturing them.
They were doing a lot of bad stuff, and they didn't care. So, you know, they were trying to conquer Japan.
Why the people from Japan were horrified, and they
wanted
to stop.
There was dissension in the Japanese ranks. So what they did is you had the younger samurai lords that were kind of like, back in the 13th century, combat for samurais was still out in the open, and they had to deal with things like the Mongols were throwing bombs, like exploding bombs with gunpowder and stuff.
Oh my god!
When they invaded, that's how they were able to get past the formation of samurai. The first time they attacked, they threw bombs. Explosions. And when they tried to do that to the wall saved a lot of people because the bombs were just tearing through people like crazy. Because China was like one of the first countries to really use gunpowder in war.
It's kind of funny because I believe the first emperor of China, that's one of the main reasons
he had fire sticks.
Why he built the wall of China too, was to keep out the Huns, which are related to the Mongols.
The only problem is gunpowder and other things eventually changed warfare completely by probably right around the time of Hanzo, so like the 1500s. You know.
Well, that's a very beautiful, like, you can see the white flowers on the trees, and then like the red,
oh yeah, you can see all kinds of stuff in this game. But anyway, so there was dissension among the ranks of the samurai because there were people that it's not honorable to kill people without being seen. So the idea in this game where they're saying, you know, if you don't look the person in the eye, it's not an honorable act, or if you do cowardly methods. So the samurai that got on the boats and they went and they killed like the Mongol leaders or like the generals or whoever those guys were, issuing commands to the bilingual or the multicultural like troops.
Yeah.
They did something dishonorable. Some of them, I don't know if they were like punished for it, because I mean it did end up winning, but samurai tactics started to change by the 1400s.
The thing is, like, if they
1400s.
If they didn't lower their standards of combat, like
They would have lost.
They couldn't have won because those people were so evil. Like they had to. I think they had to change something because they. I mean, I don't like to say you fight fire with fire, but you can't just Care Bear stare everybody out of your.
Also,
like,
their tactics,
nation.
the samurai's tactics were not as brutal as the Mongols. Like, this game does not really show all the things that the Mongols did, unless they're going to do a sequel.
I would throw up if I saw the things that they mentioned.
Unless they do a sequel, then it would totally be like, okay, yeah. But there are parts of this game where Jin actually goes on a boat and he assassinates Mongol leaders. That's what the samurai did during the second invasion.
That was very smart, though. So what you were saying was, like, when they realized that there were only an elite number of people that were the leaders of, you know, like this army of Mongols, and then the conquered people like Koreans and Chinese and other people that they conquered along the way, possibly Persians or Iranians.
Most of the invading force was Korean.
So, because there were only a few people that could speak all 3 or 4 languages and give orders, what you're saying is the shinobi killed those people, assassinated
They weren't
them.
shinobi yet. They were samurai.
So the samurai went in and sneak attacked, killed those people.
On the boats, yep.
So that they couldn't give any orders, so they were in confusion.
Well, I mean, what they were trying to do is they weren't necessarily... I don't think they were smart enough to know to attack the generals. They went after the really biggest guys to show that... Because the samurais were smaller than some of these massive Mongols. So they... I guess unwittingly, they accidentally stumbled upon that these guys were issuing the commands. I don't think they knew that.
Oh, like
They wanted to take down the biggest, scariest opponent so that they could, like, wound the morale of the Mongols. But they ended up, like, really doing a big blow, which is kind of cool.
Where is it?
His family's armor's gone.
How dare you!
Young master.
I feared you were dead.
I'm a thief now.
As soon as I could. It's good to see you, Yuriko.
You look tired. Are you hungry?
Not now. Thank you. The Khan's army must have marched past here. Have you had any trouble?
A few bandits. Nothing I can't take care of.
I've come for my father's... my armor.
You refused to wear it at Komoda Beach.
A lot has changed since then.
I hid it somewhere safe.
Alright, so we're going to get our dad's armor. Ghosts from the past.
We will definitely be keeping you guys in our thoughts and prayers about the hurricane. I know it's coming tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah, always.
Come this way. These old bones.
Well, I'm glad you researched a lot of that. It's really cool.
I'll get Taichi to help me fetch it. He's at the cemetery,
What's he doing there?
tending the grounds, gathering plants for my poisons. Keeps vermin out of our food stores.
I'm glad you're not alone.
What about Lord Shimura?
Alive. The Mongols captured him at Komoda, but we freed him.
Others survived. And they're helping you?
A few. Lady Masako.
Good. She's been fighting alongside the boys since she was knee-high.
You'll have to tell me more about that someday.
But it's just the 2 of you?
A few others. Sensei Ishikawa.
I haven't seen him in years. Does he still act like he's the only one who knows how to do things?
Half the time he's right, but his aim is unmatched.
He would certainly agree.
So yeah, pretty much,
Lord Sakai,
whoops.
you're back. I wish I could stay, but I hear you're taking good care of Yuriko.
You've got that backwards, my lord.
Taichi, help me get the Sakai armor.
Go. I should pay my respects.
So the character of Jin is a combination of probably like 15 different shinobi and samurai tactics from the first and second Mongol invasion.
Finally returns and his home is a mess.
I'll fix it immediately.
Don't worry about that now. Let's make sure the armor is perfect.
Because unfortunately, the real Battle of Tsushima, the only thing that they're remembered honorably for doing is they got a message to the shogun. They were all wiped out. There were no survivors.
That's so sad, though.
The first landing on Tsushima was a slaughter. Like, basically, the Mongols used bombs and fire arrows, just like the opening of this game. Like, when they were riding on the beach, you know, they also did send somebody to challenge the Mongols, like, in, like, a duel to decide things. Which the samurai used duels as a way of intimidation for armies. Because if you could beat, like, their biggest, biggest and baddest, it would send fear among the troops.
But they dishonorably did the duel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they necessarily did that in real life. I mean, that might just be like a incorporating some of their tactics, because they did light people on fire with booze.
Oh my gosh.
And kill them. I mean, that is a Mongol tactic, but I don't know if they've ever done it during a duel. It's possible.
You have somebody saying from Tehillim 29, Yuriko's story in this is very touching.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have somebody else saying, Hugh Dong says, do her side quest and she goes deep into family events. Actually worth doing.
Okay.
Thank you guys for the tips.
No, what am I supposed to be doing now? What are you doing?
Somebody said, so no survivors then?
There was no survivors on Tsushima. What they did is they got a message out to the Emperor of Japan, who then started to fortify. If Tsushima did not hold the Mongols for a day or two, well, I mean a night, they were all wiped out. If they couldn't get the message across to the mainland, which both China and Japan are known as mainland, like when you go like further inland or whatever, because these are little islands. If they hadn't got the message across, then the shogun wouldn't have had the samurais on the beach to hold back the invasion, and they would have marched through Japan. So Tsushima is remembered for... They have a memorial, too, for the first invasion, because they lost everybody. They lost their... basically, the guy who's supposed to be this dude's uncle, the heir. Everybody died.
But if they didn't get the message, then
Japan wouldn't have known.
They knew they were coming then, so they could have prepared, and then they were able to take back their island.
And then the second time, Japan did send more samurai for the, to protect Tsushima again, but they also failed because Tsushima it wasn't. Both islands get wrecked again in the second invasion because even more troops, like the landing, supposedly, the landing of Japan, like with the Mongols, was the biggest invasion force until D-Day, until Normandy. It was the biggest invasion force to land on a beach. Like, the Mongols outnumber the samurai by thousands.
That's crazy.
And they still lost.
I don't really understand
Technically.
which samurai. Tevya is saying, so the samurai got killed? Do you mean like the samurai that story is about? Or
all the samurais on Tsushima.
Yeah, all the samurai got killed, and Luke was saying that basically the guy that a lot of the stories of the shinobi are based on this guy named Hanzo and some other shinobi. But I don't know if Hanzo got killed or not.
Hanzo died of old age.
So yeah, the shinobi that...
I think.
But did he live on Tsushima, Hanzo, or
no? Hanzo was from Koga.
So yeah, in reality...
There was no ninja there was no ninja activity on Tsushima.
They're taking ninja ideas from other stories like Hanzo and stuff and adding them to the story of what actually happened on Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
But they're kind of taking creative liberties. So they're taking stories of actual historical accounts of ninjas, shinobi, and then they're adding it into what it would have been like. So, like, What actually happened on Tsushima was that there weren't any shinobi that we know of on Tsushima. What happened was the samurai started using shinobi-like
Right.
tactics. So what they did was they took creative liberty and they were like, what if we make it more shinobi? And they added stories of actual shinobi stories from Japan and morphed those two together and made this game.
According to Japanese accounts, in the 13th century, whispers of shadowy warriors and like dishonorable acts by civilians or people. There are certain myths that surround the shinobi starting in the 13th or 12th, no, 13th century, like around the 1280s, 1290s, and then they just kind of pop up again by the 1400s. It's not until the 1500s and 1600s that you really hear more about shinobi and thieves in Japanese like folklore or historical accounts and all kinds of stuff. So, in a sense, Jin is supposed to be like the fictional version of like how the shinobi clans start. Like he's the one who incorporates these Mongol tactics using bombs, theatricality, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of real life shinobis and thieves, thieve arts, ninjutsu, and things like that happen 200 years later.
Yeah. Sorry.
Cutscene.
Go ahead.
We're at our family's grave site. Oh, we're gonna do a haiku? Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wait, no, we're not.
I mourn my father. We used to meditate here. Now I am alone.
Yeah, Jin lost his whole family.
You have somebody saying like this game actually is more respectful of history than they mentioned another game, Battlefield 5. That's saying something.
Yep. I mean, a really good ninja game that, I mean, I don't know if you guys would be able to play now because the graphics aren't all there anymore, but I would really highly recommend, if you like the story of Jin, and you can deal with like the dated graphics, check out Tenchu. Tenchu, it takes place during the Warring States period, and it has ninjas under the employ of a shogunate, and that character is supposed to be Hanzo. Hanzo worked for the shogun, and he and his retainers, there were like 3 of them, which I believe there are 3 characters in Tenchu, and their job is they keep the Tokugawa shogunate alive during the Warring States period of the 15 or 1600s. And it's a really cool game.
I don't really know, like, I know somebody is saying, like, that this happened because of the Japanese government ignored the Mongols or whatever, but...
The Mongols gave a declaration of war.
Yeah, what you guys have to understand is, like, if I write a letter to my neighbor and say, like, hey, I'm supposed to be the ruler of all the houses in this block, and everything that's yours is now mine, and I'm declared it, you know, now you're ruler under God or something, I'm gonna come in and take your stuff, or I'm gonna kill you in horrible ways. It's not really like, oh...
It's not like,
and then I was like, let's be friends, and just let me do that.
No.
That's not really a nice letter. It's not like they're trying to be friends. They're telling you that they own you, they're coming to take your land, and you might as well just lay over and die and let them do it. It's not a friendship thing at all.
He declared war on Japan on several times through letters and through emissaries, and Japan was very pride and honor is a big thing to them. So when the emissaries kept coming, the acting shogun got really ticked and he had them decapitated, and then he sent the heads back to Khan
Because
they were sick of it.
Why would you continue to say something so ridiculous? Like, you know?
Here we go, guys. This is a father's armor. Something Jin has refused to wear for so long.
Jin, help me.
Ooh. His father's mask. The demon mask right there is also supposed to be like an Easter egg or a reference to Hanzo.
Oh, interesting.
Because he did have a demon mask.
Young master?
Are you alright?
Yes, just lightheaded. For a moment, I thought you looked...
Face us, coward! Get inside.
The Sakai. I know I called it Saki. It's not the alcohol mask. The clan armor.
Well, I mean, also, if you really think about it, number one...
Ryuzo said you'd come crawling back home. You serve a traitor. Suffer a traitor's fate.
You want to go? That was weird. Haha! I threw a kunai in his face.
Yuriko.
Kunai can be used as throwing weapons, by the way. They weren't used that way until probably around the 1900s is when, you know, you could see people like at tournaments and stuff use that stuff. There's actually a whole... The reason why people know shinobi did exist, Hanzo created a book about shinobi, like about their tactics and how to be a shinobi. And I believe it was written like around the 1590s or 1600s. And it's like shinobi... I can't remember the name of it. I think it starts with a B. And it's an account of how to be shinobi.
Bushido?
No, it's not the way of the warrior.
Wait,
that's the code of the samurai. Shinobi have their own code, which samurai view shinobi as dishonorable, even though in the beginning a lot of shinobi were either former samurai or they were samurai. But their version of honor, their code was different. It's not the same. The code that you see ninjas using is kind of like the thief's code, but it's in, like, they make them out to be like these really detestable, dishonorable scumbags, like ninjas. Like, they make them like thieves, but they had a tweaked code of honor that was different than the samurai, but it also, they were still kind of honor bound. It was just different. They were honor bound to the shogun, to their lord, and not so much like a lot of the individual rules that the samurai would have to follow or commit seppuku.
Yeah.
So it was different.
I don't really understand why all this pro-Mongol stuff is around the news or whatever, but it's really weird because this happened so long ago.
The southern Chinese actually eventually did defeat the Mongols. So the Mongols technically weren't like the ancient ancestors of the Chinese. They were an occupying force for maybe 100 years or something like that. Maybe. I don't know.
They lived in the north.
But they didn't. They didn't defeat. They defeated the Song dynasty or the southern Chinese empire before they invaded Japan. But I think it was like maybe 30 or 40 years later, the Chinese, during the breaking up of the Mongol Empire, the South was able to regain their their homeland, so to speak. But I haven't really looked into a lot of how the Mongol Empire fell apart. I've only really researched stuff that had to do with Japanese that then eventually led to a Nobunaga and the Tokugawa and like all these other type of things. I never really got into the history of the Mongols, only the stuff that impacted Japan. So I can't tell you.
Are you all right?
Korea, all that other stuff.
Is Yarikawa giving us trouble again?
The Yarikawa rebellion was 20 years ago. Those men were with the Mongols.
Of course. Seeing you like that, I'm still shaken up. I need to catch my breath.
By the lake. Your favorite tree.
Yes. Come.
So she just witnessed Jin do some dishonorable stuff, so she's freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, like,
You said earlier you've been making
I have to wait till
poisons.
cutscenes.
Keeps the vermin out of
Then
our
talk.
rice.
Can you make it stronger? Enough to kill a man?
No one deserves that.
Can you do it?
The effects in larger doses are ugly.
Good.
oh my
Oh,
god.
my lord.
Is Yuriko nice?
Yeah, but he just told her he needs her to make poison. He's going to use poison on the Mongols.
Sit with me.
She's not very happy about it.
It is historically accurate, though. Shinobi did use poison in their weapons.
Poison has never been the Sakai way.
No Sakai had to fight the Mongol Empire. I need every weapon we have. Tsushima can't afford anything less.
The Mongols have changed you, young master.
The world has changed.
My mother taught me about plants that heal, others that harm, even kill. But they must be consumed. How will you poison the invaders?
A blowgun and dots. I've read of their use by a Genji warrior who studied with monks from the west. Will you help me?
Promise me you'll remain the good man I know.
I promise.
Kind of hard doing all the things that
After your
Jin's
every
done.
deed since your mother carried
Well,
you,
if he was doing it for the right
I
reason.
won't
I know.
stop now.
He's not a bad person. He had to do it to defend his people.
All I need is
I know.
something to make a blowgun.
Used to be plenty of reeds downriver, near the old crossing. Remember? You and your little friend gathered them to make little boats.
Yeah.
Ryuzo and I, we spent all day reenacting the Battle of Danora.
Be careful, Jin. The invaders have an outpost there now.
Don't worry, I'll be back soon with reeds.
You want to know something else interesting about the Mongols, though, during this time?
What?
They actually were not really a naval force. Like, the ships that they used were from Korea.
Oh.
So, like, just like the Japanese, the Mongols were just kind of used to, like, piracy-type skirmishes. Like,
Yeah.
and the Japanese, for years, after Korea... Well, Korea wasn't under the Mongol Empire yet, so... in the 1260s and the 1250s, Japanese pirates in their small boats, not big warfare, they would invade parts of Korea and do piracy things. So it was kind of like the Mongol Empire and Japan was attacking Korea at the same time. So Korea really doesn't have a love for Japan all that much, except for like later on. Like
Japan and China have fought too. Though.
Japan and China have fought like centuries. Off and on. China's been an occupying force. And Japan has been an occupying force in China. They switch. Like, it seems like every several hundred years, like, one of them becomes the antagonist and the other becomes the victim, and then it just...
Well, that's like...
Back and forth.
I know some people have been talking about different things about their history that they've learned, and I understand there's two sides to every story, but for me, like, honestly, like... I don't know, this is just my thing, like, even though people found it insulting that their, people were beheaded or whatever, the Japanese probably found it insulting that those people kept telling them that their land was theirs or something.
They kept coming there and saying
Like,
that
that's also
you're
insulting.
going to be subjugated if you don't do it. What are you going to do? Take up arms against us? Like, they were using the mandate of heaven to try to intimidate the Japanese rulers And, you know, after, I think it was like 30 years or 20 years or something of insults, Japan just finally executed the emissaries. They're just...
I mean, for me, I believe, like, you know, I understand, like, back in the day, everyone was trying to find their own spot of land and stuff. But I just think, like, you know, the Mongols already had their own area, and they were trying to invade everybody else, and also, like...
They took over most of the world.
I also
at one
feel
point.
like with their tactics, which was disgusting to use
Barbaric.
as human shields and do horrible things just to cause people to, like...
Intimidation.
Just the kind of tactics that you hear, you know, no offense, I don't want to say the word, but it's like terrorists. They were like terrorists. Like, they're just horrible. Like, you know, doing that to civilians and throwing things at them. It's just, it's to make like a reign of terror. But just like, I just feel like,
I mean, I knew the Mongols were bad, but I never knew that they were literally tying people to their ships.
yeah, it's just,
That's
I can't even
disturbing.
think about it.
Yeah.
But just like, I mean, I'm, you know, like I'm part Viking, and I love the Viking culture. Like, Mongolians today, like, they're really nice people or whatever. Like, my grandfather actually was born in China. His nurse was a Mongolian lady.
Yep.
So, like, they're really nice people today, but back then, they were awful. Just like back then, my ancestors, the Vikings, were very brutal as well. They didn't do the right thing. So I wouldn't, even though I understand they're their own people and stuff, the way that they were acting back then, the way that their tactics were back then was not right. And it, you know, they shouldn't have been allowed to continue to try to hurt people, you know, and subjugate them. Like, it's always, every nation has the right to stand up for themselves and their own people and their own spot of land and defend themselves. Like, no matter what, whether it's beheading somebody or whatever, you need to be able to defend your own land. Like, you need to be able to say, this is my area and I'm not going to let my people be slaughtered, you know?
To some extent. I mean, if you go and you attack somebody's foreign land and then they come attack you, that's retaliation for what you did to them.
Yeah, but I don't think the Japanese did anything.
I didn't get to finish.
Okay.
So, for many, many years, before Korea was taken over, the only reason the Mongols found out about Japan, this is the Japanese pirates' fault. The Japanese pirates, who are not loyal to the shogun or whatever, they're just pirates. They're pirates, you know. Pirates do what pirates do. They had been invading Korea and attacking the shoreline of Korea for a very long time. So after Korea was part of the Mongol Empire, that's when, the Mongols learned of the Japanese. Because they didn't know there was a massive island, like, just a little ways away from Korea. And, you know, they saw more people that looked like them, and they're like, okay, you know, these people are obviously, they don't have law and order or whatever. They're not really a kingdom. They're just a bunch of nomads that are on ships doing this stuff. So we're just going to go and, you know, claim some other stuff. So it's kind of the Japanese pirates' fault that the Mongols even got the idea to go to Japan.
Oh.
Because they were attacking Korea. And then Korea was kind of like, when they became part of the Mongol Empire, they're like, hey, can you do something about these guys that keep attacking us in their boats, going after our fishermen and stuff like that? You know?
I mean, I appreciate you guys giving different points of view of the Mongols versus the Japanese, but...
It wasn't that long of a skirmish, though. The Japanese technically beat the Mongols.
I kind of feel like I want to root for Japan right now, since we're kind of, like, playing as a Japanese person, so... I'm just gonna ignore anything that they may have done and root for my thing.
Yeah, the Japanese are the home team in this.
Yeah, like, I don't... For right now, they're defending their homeland, like... Whatever they may have done before, like, well, maybe they made a mistake, but they're just trying to defend their place now. Like, that's, I don't know. But I appreciate you guys talking about different perspectives, like, from the Mongolian perspective and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like there are some cultures that, you know, are content to have their own spot of land and they're not bothering anybody else, and then there's some cultures that are just like, no, we're gonna try to take over as many.
They did declare war, and they did, when they invaded Tsushima, they wiped everybody out. Like they didn't take hostages. They took hostages to use as human shields when they invaded the mainland, but they didn't like set up government or anything like that. It was like a pit stop before going to Japan.
Yeah, but like some cultures, especially in ancient times, like their whole culture was surrounded by war. Like,
oh yeah,
so it was like you don't want to say like, hey, I'm against this whole people, but at the same time, it's kind of like these people are just, their whole culture is about war at this point. Like later on, they might settle down and become like a peaceful nation, but at that point in the time, they were like extremely warlike and, you know.
And the Mongol Empire fell apart like shortly after, like I think it was 30 years after the last invasion of Japan. Might have been quicker than that. I don't know. Like I said, I've never really studied the Mongols because I just didn't. I didn't really like. It didn't fall under the things that I was curious about because I was big into samurai and shinobi and you know, the warfare of Japan, the warring states, all that other stuff. So it like the Mongols aren't really mentioned again by the Japanese after like the 1280s or something like that. 1290 something. They're never really brought up again because I mean afterwards, even though Japan was united for a little bit, then Japan would suffer hundreds of years of more wars over the shogunate. You know, it's like there's so many different clans that were fighting each other all the time. The only time that Japan really banded together for a little bit that I can recall was when they fought the Mongols off, or tried to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yes, I know, guys. I know that if you're invading a country, you're not going to be nice, but I feel like, number one,
they declared war.
Number one, if I was invading a country, I would have a plan to make, like, a peaceful, like, empire, and I would try to be kind to the people after I invaded them or whatever, like, try to incorporate them all into, like, a, you know, like an empire or something where they all were, like, you know, citizens and, like, they were treated as human beings. Like, the way Mongols invaded people and didn't treat them like human beings, I don't like. And number two, I don't feel like the Mongols should have invaded. They should have just stuck to their own place. Like, why? But
I mean, it was back during the time where everybody was conquering the world.
But at the same time,
although I think the Mongols weren't the last ones to try to conquer the world.
But at the same time, there were some people that did conquer stuff and they made a better place. Like the first emperor of China, he ended up warring with all the warring states and made the Empire of China.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but he actually made sure that everybody, like, was treated well, and he made it better for everybody. See, the Mongols invading Japan are not making it better for them. They just killed everybody. So, I mean, like, I just, you know, what I'm trying to say is they're not honorable. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, they didn't have honor.
They're not good people. Like, they're not treating people like human beings.
But the Japanese tactics, they had to... The whole code of the samurai started to change during the Mongol invasion because you had different samurai that were witnessing how the Mongols fought, and the Japanese could not fight the way that they'd always fought. So there was dissension in their ranks about deciding how they could really fight like these barbarians. So they had to chuck their code a little bit. They had to bend it, like Yuna says in this game. They had to bend the code. And it wasn't really good that these young lords were on these boats and, you know, doing these night raids on the Mongol ships during the second invasion because it wasn't honorable. It's not really clear if they were executed or what happened to those guys. I know one of them ended up being rewarded by the shogun because he brought the head of several Mongol generals that I don't know if he necessarily did, but he was smart enough to... show his receipts, so to speak, and then he ended up like doing very well the remainder of his life or whatever because the shogun rewarded him. And back then you would need to show how you did your deeds. If you didn't have proof that you did it, then it was just hearsay. Like, oh yeah, I went in at the cover of night and my troops and I took this person out, and then be like, okay, cool. So do you have proof that you did this? Like the heads of the generals and other things was proof of your, you know, what you did.
You have to carry it around with you.
No, I mean you didn't. You put it in a box or something. You didn't didn't like tie it on your belt or something
You were
like
going to
that.
invade me out of kindness. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that. Chad was saying Spanish, American, and Japanese invaded their country centuries ago. That's why they have such mixed cultures.
Yep.
Where he
Japan
is.
once Japan got a taste of sea stuff, they did start to invade people too. So the Mongols kind of sparked the curiosity of the rest of the world for Japan in a bad way too.
They still had some kind of standard as human beings, though. Like,
yeah, but
completely barbaric.
Japanese.
Yeah, I know there was some crazy stuff.
In World War II, they didn't
but-
fight very honorably.
Well, Luke, I mean, I'm not gonna get into this.
I know. I don't really want to
Oh
get
my
into that
gosh.
because that's way too recent. But
Let's not go there.
nope, not stepping on that landmine. But
I
back in the
think
day,
nobody likes war. So
nobody liked
it
warfare. Warfare is always brutal.
It's not good for anybody.
No. So anyway, back in the 13th century or whatever that this game is based on, like I think it was probably like 40 years after the Mongol thing, Japan started to break down with their original agreements with stuff between like their other lords, and then it led to more battles. So like in this game where they took down the Yurikawa or whatever that organization was here during this time, there were other clans that would start to rebel against the shogunate and stuff like that. So just like Japan or China had like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms and other things, Japan also, for a lot of its history, was always fighting one another. Like, think of it like a constant civil war that was always happening. And it would be for lots of different reasons. It was hard to, really know what was going on at some points in time. But the shinobi came in really handy by the 1500s. And the espionage and warfare changed completely. But a lot of the stuff that Jin gets chastised for in this game, like the samurai's code of honor, starts to change by, I would say the 1300s is when they start to ratify it a little bit, and younger lords and stuff start to change how warfare and stuff was. I believe they also start incorporating like more gunpowder stuff in Japan as well, since the Mongols used like gunpowder-based weapons like bombs and fire sticks and things against them. Which fire sticks was actually, it wasn't necessarily like a gun. It was kind of like an early flamethrower. So they would have these things attached to pikes. Oh, the dog saw me. Never mind. I thought I could hide. They would have this stuff like what looked like kind of what you would think a firecracker looks like. Mm-hmm. It's like this rocket that was tied to the end of the spear, and you would put like the gunpowder in it, and it wouldn't necessarily like shoot out an arrow or something. That was too soon. But people on top of the walls in China, and the Mongols especially, like some of their infantry or invading force or whatever you would call them, like they would have the fire spear thing. And the fire spear, what that was, it was just basically like a flamethrower. When it ran out, it was done. But it was a devastating weapon that was very intimidating, and it was used quite a bit in China.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And that was like the early flamethrower. So they had weapons like that. They had like crude bombs that were made out of pottery that would explode. And the Japanese didn't know how to fight against this stuff, so they had to change their tactics. There's way too many of them. I don't know what I'm doing. This is what happens when I talk and play. Alright, we need to blow them up. Whoa!
Oh, somebody's saying, Knives Millions is saying, sad fact, the Mongols actually burned the Library of Baghdad, which was called the House of Wisdom, and it burned to the ground. It had some of the knowledge and important texts that were collected in that part of the world.
Yeah, they did do that.
So they destroyed a lot of, like...
They destroyed all kinds of stuff because they didn't want anybody to have any other knowledge except of that of Mongol rule. So yes, they were the people that made things like book burning for like brown shirts and future warfare tactics and regimes. They were kind of the people who really started that early cultural destruction stuff.
A lot of ancient people did
Rome did it too. Well, no, Rome was pretty good.
Look, oh my gosh, there were a lot worse things. I mean, Rome was pretty bad, but there were a lot of people that were
Rome.
barbaric even before that.
I know, but Rome. I was just backpedaling a little bit because Rome did not destroy a lot of Greece and other of the countries that they took over. They kept a lot of their history intact because their gods were similar to Greek and stuff like that. But the Mongols definitely did wipe out people's history if they had the opportunity to do it. But there were other cultures that did it as well.
Yeah.
Ah!
Well, I was surprised that that I don't know. I was just it doesn't really matter, but
This was supposed to be a stealth.
I was just surprised to learn that Alexander the Great usually preserved most cultures that he came across with the Greek Empire, but I think it was either the Medes or the Persians. He considered them like lower than him because they were nomads. Even though they actually had really amazing like culture, it was just way different than his culture. So he didn't understand their culture. Like they were more about like moving from place to place, living in tents, and making like rugs and stuff, like Persian rugs. And like he just destroyed,
Holy cow.
like he just completely like burned like stuff, all their culture to the ground, like a lot of it.
No, that's not what I was saying. Holy cow! Like I totally screwed up.
Yeah, but usually, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of it in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, but I forgot that I don't remember what parts of the Middle East were a part of the Mongol Empire. The Mongol Empire was huge. Like, but they just like most empires, when they tried to conquer too many people, I know they tried for Vietnam, and they tried for some other stuff. With Vietnam, they ran into problems with their horses, because the jungles were so thick or something like that, and the Mongols are used to being like this intimidating force on horseback. They were legendary for it, like they're bowmen on horses and all this other stuff. So when they came into like this different terrain, I think it was Vietnam, they weren't able to have their cavalry be as effective, and they also suffered a huge loss. So the only nations that are really responsible for giving the Mongols like a true defeat is Vietnam and Japan. Although technically Japan did not beat the Mongols, it was the elements that defeated the Mongols. I don't know, nobody knows historically if the Japanese, with their wall structure that they made, they didn't have that many troops compared to the Mongols. A lot of people believe it was the language barrier between the Koreans and the Southern Chinese army and the Mongols that made it difficult for them to fight back. Like when the samurais accidentally defeated some of the generals, like the people issuing commands at the battle. Because Khan wasn't there. Khan had just sent like his best troops and his best ships to go take down. He was just hanging out in his like throne room or whatever. So the grandson of Genghis Khan in this game, who's supposed to be Khan, kind of, he was just back in whatever part of China or wherever the Mongols were holed up. Like, he didn't actually travel with them. So most likely in this game, since he's the antagonist, he's probably going to end up being killed. And Jin will probably kill him. That's my guess. Which, in reality, he didn't die until either 1290 something, or I think it was around 1290 something is when Khan died. And he died of depression and gorging himself or something. Some type of disease. He was very depressed after his son and his wife died. Or concubine. I don't really know. Like I said, if it didn't involve the Japanese, I didn't really care to learn about it. Even back when I used to know a lot about Japanese history and stuff like that. It didn't interest me because it was like, okay, what does this have to do with the samurai? Not much.
Luke, can I put this in the chat? There's somebody that was... I'm just showing you this. There was somebody that was like spamming. They already timed them out. They were saying they were gonna do stuff.
Okay.
Like, and stuff.
Oh, that's weird.
I know. Just so you know, like, I don't know if, like, we can't have stuff, about, like, I can't even say the word in the chat, but, like, if you're severely depressed and you're, like, trying to, like, get help or talk in the chat about it, we can't really talk to you about it, because, number one, like, we just can't, like, it just, we just can't talk about that, like, it's, but, if you want, you can keep watching the chat. You can always come by. We're gonna be streaming every night, and you know, like, just I'm gonna put a we appreciate you watching, and we do care. So please, understand that. Okay, I'm done. I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I get you.
I get that things are difficult for people.
shoot.
I appreciate.
Ooh, yes.
Whoa.
There we go. That's what I wanted. Merry Christmas. Woohoo! That's a little bit better than it was. Oh! Whoa! 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 Let's dial down the crazy there, buddy. Ah! I read it wrong. There we go. Yeah, I know this game can be kind of violent and stuff like that, but just... there are organizations that help with that. Oh, crud. Oh, you can drown people? No way! I'll have to try to do that more often. That saves time. Sweet. Oh my goodness. But yeah, for what this game is, I actually think it's pretty accurate. Well, I mean, not accurate to what happened to Tsushima, but they're incorporating so many different elements that, like, it feels like all those ninja games that I grew up playing, like Tenchu and Ninja Gaiden and all that other stuff, they've incorporated so much of both Japanese myth and history with, you know, bending it a little bit. Tsushima was the only thing that really happened that was helpful for Japan was basically a warning that the Mongols were in Japan so that they could form some type of, like, you know, mobilizing troops. Because you have to remember, it takes a while to get your troops to mobilize. So, when the Mongols were wiping out Tsushima, which was actually pretty big, you know, going from village to village and farm to farm and raising everything on the ground, taking captives. I mean, that whole campaign had to take at least a month or two. But to be able to mobilize as many troops as samurai as they could get on the beaches for the mainland, yeah, they weren't able to help Tsushima, and they weren't able to help Hiki or whatever it was called. I never get that island right. I'm sorry. It had to take them quite a while, because it's not like messenger services work the way that they do today, where you can easily, like, get your troops in position and stuff like that if you need to. It takes a lot of time. There was lots of ways that they would basically get the message across to people, which I don't remember what the Japanese method was. I've been reading a lot more about medieval stuff again, so I'd probably get some confusion between medieval and Japanese, like, messengers and things like that. So I'm not even really going to get into that, like how they would do that. But because of Tsushima's sacrifice and their heroics and stuff like that, the shogun was able to find out what was going on, or acting shogun, because, you know, I don't think it was actually the shogun who was in power at that time. People are a little...
But I liked how you researched about how, like, they I didn't know that a lot of the shinobi were actually trained as samurai. So I learned that today. That was a new fact.
Well, a lot of people honestly believe that samurai and shinobi were one and the same. The dishonorable group that people think when they think about the romanticized version of a ninja is what would be considered a thief.
Thieves.
Because thieves were cutthroats and assassins and mercenaries for hire. Shinobi, there's tons of historical proof to show that they worked for different ruling classes of samurai, or like shogunate or feudal lords and things like that. They weren't like guns for hire until much later, probably during the. But I kind of stopped with learning about Japanese history right around the time of the Last Samurai, which I think would be part of Edo. I don't remember my time periods, but it was the samurai were basically defeated by modern civilization or the idea of modern civilization and guns.
I know the
Firearms.
I know the samurai were around in the Edo period because I did my.
The Tom Cruise movie, The Last of the Samurai, is a really good movie based on, I think it's the 1800s. But I don't necessarily know if there was an American who was around in that time. Also, another good show to watch would be Ronin Kenshin, which is also about the 1800s and the last Ronin, things like that. I think it was a Meiji period. I don't remember.
Like,
but I was always fascinated with the law of the samurai, the code of the samurai, and a lot of that stuff from like 13th through 18th century.
yeah, but just like I feel like the Mongols were extremely brutal. But just as a disclaimer, I do feel like everybody like had their own, like each country kind of had their own view of what was honorable. So what may seem really violent to one culture might seem completely normal to them or whatever, but I don't know. But I still think the Mongols especially, completely crossed the line. Like, I don't know.
You might be able to take that guy out. What do you think? You think I could swing on that?
I think you could take him out. I mean, it's such a different... Oh my god.
That did not work. I thought I could swing on that. Whoops. Whoopsies.
It's just such a different time, like...
Oh, I love this game, though, but the more I keep playing this, it's like, oh, I miss playing Tenchu so much. Because what's great about Tenchu is it shows the, I can never say their name right, but the female ninja. Kono... dang it.
I don't know.
It starts with a K. I can't remember the pronunciation of it.
Special K cereal?
No. The female ninja. You play as, I think the guy's name's Hanzo. I don't remember.
Right, well,
Bees. Bye-bye. Oh, that was a gunman. Nice. Those guys are nasty.
I feel bad. I'm still gonna forget everything that you said in the stream.
Ah!
Kunoichi.
See? I told you to start with a K. I could remember that much.
Because I want to believe that Naruto exists, so I'm not gonna remember anything you said.
Ninja clans and stuff like that. There were shinobi clans, but... Oh, crud! All right.
Dad says, wow, Luke knows Kenshin?
How you guys know I'm old, right? I've been around. I know Ninja Scroll. I know all the ninjas. Ninjas are like one of my favorite characters, both fictional and like non-fiction. Because I'm one of those people that honestly believe that ninjas were not fictional. There are aspects of them that are fictional, like your traditional guy dressed in all black. For instance, if a ninja wore all black during the day, he'd be very easy to spot. They only worked at the cover of night because they would blend in. They would wear dark blue or black or sometimes brown, depending on where they were. If they were out during the day, they would probably wear colors or no colors at all. They would just like do most of their stuff. But you have to remember that the thief, the shinobi, and the samurai all had similar traits. The only one of them that had no honorable stuff whatsoever was a thief. And there were tons of thieves in feudal Japan. And there are lots of stories of thieves. But they were not like Robin Hood characters.
Luke is talking about his ninja stuff, so some of like the stuff he usually does on his streams, like where he just like goes from point A to point B, he sometimes has to stop once in a while to talk about what he's saying. That's why he's a little different on the stream, because he just researched a bunch of ninja stuff.
Well, I also have some cool ninja books coming too because we'll be doing this series for quite a while.
And somebody in the chat is saying Sakai isn't really a real samurai clan.
No, it's made up.
Is
They couldn't use real samurai clans for this game because they thought it would be done in poor taste if they were to do that.
Well, the person Super JLK is saying he is the physical embodiment of the divine wind that stopped the Mongols.
Yep.
Oh.
He's supposed to be like the kamikaze wind because what he's doing is technically considered S. Like, because against all odds, he is the wind that pushes the Mongols back.
All right, now I understand.
Although, maybe there's actually going to be the actual tsunami that shows up in this game. I don't know.
I still think that, I personally believe that, you know, I mean, it may be kind of like, I don't know if anyone, like, disagrees with me or anything, but I do believe that, like, I do think the waves came. I think they were, like, a spiritual, like, miracle that saved them. Because, like, I think that... Oh my gosh. I just think that because the...
Just not talking to the boy. I can't see. Where are you? It's only a limited time. Good boy.
I just think that because they were like, that was gross, but I think that because the Japanese were praying for a miracle and because they were just trying to defend their own country and just live their lives, and the Mongols were so brutally invading people, I feel like, in a way, like, I feel like good always wins over evil, and I think that that's why the waves came. I think it was a miracle. I really think it did happen.
Well, just think of what would have happened if they actually wiped out Japan. Be a very different world now.
I think it's kind of like Godzilla, where Godzilla comes in and sets things in order, and I feel like the waves came in and set things in order and prevented the Mongols from killing any more people. Like, you know, I feel like something came in and set things in order. You know, set the world back in order, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Set things to right, I guess. I mean, you were even telling me that one of the tsunamis came when it wasn't even tsunami.
Yeah, that was really interesting. So Khan was actually pretty smart. He was like, when the first tsunami happened, he was like, okay, we need to make a note that the waters here in Japan, this time of year, not a good time to do an invasion. So we're going to move our invasion to this time of year. And they got hit by an even bigger tsunami. So
I do think that, I personally believe that something supernatural happened. Like, the fact that it happened multiple times, every time they tried to invade, is pretty amazing.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
I don't know how often tsunamis actually happen in Japan, but it's pretty, I mean...
Well, just like perfect timing.
The whole idea that this mighty Mongol Empire was defeated by... I mean, the samurai were very impressive, but the Mongols were like battle-hardened. So one of the things that the samurai used to do to issue their, to declare their attack is they would send a single arrow so that the whistling of the arrow would intimidate the enemy before they would attack. When Tsushima fired the arrow, like the signal of the attack, to the Mongols, they laughed at them. Like, there are accounts where the Mongols were just not... They weren't intimidated at all by the whistling of the arrow, like, to issue the battle. And that kind of, like... freaked out the Japanese, and then the Mongols started playing their drums, which the Japanese samurai's horses were not used to the noise. So the reason why Tsushima fell fast and was so disoriented is not just like the waves of arrows coming from the boats that were fire arrows and explosions. It's also that their cavalry was all shook up from the Mongols because the Japanese very quiet and their warfare was very different compared to the Mongols and the Japanese. So the arrow didn't do anything to intimidate them, but when the drums started and the Mongols started like shouting and all this other stuff, the samurai were not necessarily fearful of it, but their horses went nuts. And the Mongols just moved forward, and that was the end of Tsushima. Like, that battle like ended real fast.
Yeah, I agree, Ahsoka. It did seem like too much of a coincidence. It was amazing, and thanks for the kind words. Yeah, I agree. I think something definitely happened. Like, yeah. I already said that, but yeah, it's amazing. Like, I feel like something really amazing did happen.
Is he inside the tent?
The wave really did save them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that they made it up. Like, I think that something really did happen that was not normal.
He's inside the tent. Losers ahead!
But,
Sorry.
Wow, Luke.
What? Little pun. Just a little pun.
I mean, it's a cool story either way. It's really awesome to think about. So many really interesting stories from back then. Even the whole, I mean, what a great idea, like, for this game, even to think about, you know, like the whole invasion and, like, an entire island. What a great idea, like, for a game, you know?
Yep.
Especially because most game characters, you're going against all odds to try to fight against like a whole army of darkness or something. And here's a historical thing where you literally are fighting against an entire army on a whole island. It's a perfect setting for a game.
I think people were... I was reading some like blogs, and everybody's... What's great about being a history person is there's so much information about this right now, because every YouTube channel and blog site is like trying to tell the history of Tsushima or Shinobi or Samurai and stuff like that. So there's a lot of information that's just like flooding out there. Some of it is romanticized information, like some of the people putting together stuff. There's a couple ninja videos that are out there that are just so fictional that I was just kind of like, they did a great job with the video, but this isn't what they're not. That's the Western idea of what a ninja is.
Yeah.
And a ninja in a Western eye is a combination of samurai, shinobi, and thief. It's
But
not.
that's-
It's not, you know, just one
Yeah.
farmer that's been oppressed by, you know, some really bad apple samurais that are messing with the townsfolk, and they put on their ninja garb and they go punish, like Robin Hood style. No, they didn't do that.
Actually, but Robin Hood wasn't a farmer either.
No.
He was actually like trained as like a knight and stuff like
But
that too.
But you have to remember that those myths that were told in folklore about like ninja or shinobi and things like that during like the 15th, 16th, 17th century, 18th century, it gave like people that were not of, basically samurai were kind of like nobility. They were lords and masters and things like that, and they had property. It inspired people, like this idea that there was this shadowy figure that could stand against the might of the samurai and their armor and all this other stuff.
Maybe like a hidden village in the leaves.
A
hidden leaf village.
I don't think there was ever really any stories about a ninja village or anything like that, because, I mean, they were very... I'm not saying it never happened, but there's not really a lot of historical accounts of it, because, I mean... If there really was, I don't think the ninjas would want people to know.
Yeah, no, I think that, like, what you said, like, where, like, according to history, it was the samurai that actually started doing shinobi tactics.
They had
and,
to.
like, special ops tactics. But, like you said, like, because they were posing as farmers, people might have gotten the wrong idea and might have thought they were farmers originally, and they didn't know they were samurai.
Right.
And then this whole legend might have grown that, like, these farmers have, like, this weird network, like, these magical farmers that people have no idea why, but they somehow know all these fighting techniques. And, like, maybe people didn't even know why these farmers knew all these fighting techniques. Maybe they just thought maybe they thought there was a secret society of farmers, but they didn't really know.
Secret society of farmers.
Maybe
That's,
they didn't.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't know that they were actually samurai in disguise, because obviously they wouldn't know they were samurai in disguise because that they were in disguise. So like.
Well, just think about that. Your whole life, you think you know somebody, and then one night, after their mission has been completed, they've been there 20 years. They just walk up to the gates, and you see them killing the guards, people you know. And all of a sudden, they open the gates and reveal a massive army. And this was someone who you, like, knew for so much of your life. And they became a completely different person in, like, just the flip of a switch. And that's who they were the entire time.
I like to think, this is my version.
See, that's hardcore.
Here's my version of ninja. I like to think that, like the shinobi learned these special ops tactics and then worked as farmers, like, as their disguise. And maybe randomly, like, a little boy or something would be like, hey, can you teach me that? And then maybe they actually did teach some stuff to some farmers. Like, that
There-
would be so interesting.
There
to
is
me.
a manual about the shinobi. It's real.
And then maybe there was both. Maybe there was, like, the special ops, forces from the samurai that were disguised as farmers, and then maybe there became this other group of people that actually were farmers and somehow learned it from somebody. I don't know. I'm just making this up.
There is an actual historical book or like a combination of writings by Hanzo that talk about how to be shinobi, like what the shinobi tactics are. It's real. It's not made up.
Oh, I know.
He did write it, and he technically is the first like actual account of someone claiming to be shinobi or like was shinobi. But is he the masked warrior that everybody incorporates in history? No one really knows, because his exploits are surrounded in both myth and fact. But the reason why he was called a demon, his warfare was very brutal and very guerrilla, but still nobody knows the tactics that he used. Just some of the weapons that he wrote about.
Weren't you telling me that Hanzo guy, who was like the father of the shinobi tactics or whatever, like, that he didn't wear a mask because only thieves would wear a mask? Or something like that?
He had a demon mask. Eventually.
But he didn't have like a mask, like, that's just like a cloth over his face.
No, that would be a thief.
It'd be more like
that would be more like a thief.
So it'd be more like what you're wearing then, like more
Kind
like
of.
a samurai mask.
Kind of. Yeah.
So I actually had this really interesting idea. I don't know if you would ever do it, but like, since you used to do all that Arkham lore and stuff like that. Like, I had this interesting idea, like, when you play like a modern game or something, you could do like a
What, ninja lore?
You could do
Oh
lore.
my gosh.
Like, I could watch some things on it. I could even write it, and you could do like a whole script where you talk about the history of whatever, and then you could just do gameplay to it.
Do gameplay of this game?
Yeah, like
Recover
of whatever
the-
like, and then you had another modern game like with a different. I mean, obviously, not every game you're gonna play is gonna have lore. Because some games are completely made up.
But you also have to remember, there's actually a group of YouTubers and like people that go around basically not necessarily flagging people's videos for misinformation, but there is a hardcore group of people that make documentaries and stuff that are they don't believe in the thief account at all. Like they don't believe that there was even any thieves like that in history, even though there is some evidence that the shadowy figure that was like a thief that did that kind of stuff. They believe that's all folklore. So then they go and they diminish everything you say. It's just like you have to be really careful. Like,
all you have to do is like, you could actually write a whole like I mean, you could have the whole like, you could have all your sources there and be like, well, this is like, as long as you have all your sources, like, you can say whatever you want. Like, they can disagree with you, but like, they can't disagree with the sources. Like, and you can always say like, hey, some people say this, other people say this, but I personally believe this. Like, I mean,
whoops.
It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't really care.
I mean, it would be fun to talk about like some stuff like Hanzo and some of the other like shinobi masters.
I don't really understand why people would have a problem with having a disagreeing opinion. I think it's the more different opinions on it, the better. I don't.
Up until 2013, like no one really, because the ninja, whether or not they existed in the way that people think they did, they are very important to the Japanese. Because it paints like another aspect of their culture that is like the samurai, but it's different. And you have the whole group that does ninjutsu and different martial arts, and it's a very big aspect of modern Japan's culture. Like, even now, this game is essentially a ninja game. It is samurai, and it does show that samurai started as, the honorable warrior and then became kind of like thief-like and shinobi.
Instead of Batman Begins, it's Ninja Begins.
Ninja Begins! I'm trying to find a flag, if you guys are wondering, because if I blow up this base, I'm not going to find the last of the flags. There's one more somewhere. I don't know where it is though.
I'm distracting Luke with talking to him.
No, I'm having fun. I'm just I'm
Is
looking
it
for.
highlighted on the map?
The flag would
What's
be
the yellow thing over there?
no. See how this is kind of grayed out.
Yeah.
The flag would be like this kind of. Up there it is. There it is. That's it. Oh wait, no, that's a reed. Nope, that's a flag. That's it.
So people are going around flagging people's videos that they disagree with?
No, they're not, but it's like they're getting not flagging. I don't think anybody in the historic like aspect of YouTube would do that.
Oh.
No, they're just claiming misinformation and stuff on the person who spent all that time making those videos.
Oh, they're just like writing mean comments?
Well, not them essentially. It's their fan bases. Like
who cares?
I know, but I just don't. I don't like dealing with that. When I just spent all this money on like more ninja books and things like that.
What I do when I disagree with people is I'm just like, well, I just acknowledge what they think. I'll be like, well, some people say this, but I disagree with that because of this, and here's why. And then so as long as I tell, like, I acknowledge their side of it, and then I just say I disagree. But I've been like, and then I usually end it with like, so that I don't make anyone mad, I usually end it with something like, oh, but you're free to believe what you want, and like everyone has their own opinion on this, so. And there are many legends on both sides, so that way everybody's happy.
Everybody wins.
Basically, I'm as wishy-washy as possible.
Yeah, I don't.
So that no one gets mad at me.
I don't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just say it.
Yeah, dogpiling. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, because you have an entire group of people that they don't like. Most people agree that samurai and shinobi were one and the same. But there is one very loud group of historians that don't believe that that thieves existed the way that even history has shown some of them to exist. I'm saying, along with some other people, that, and this goes back like, I'm not the only one who thinks this. I had somebody teach me this. This was kind of going around for a long time, that the idea of samurai and shinobi being one and the same is correct, but a lot of the tactics that are considered romanticized by ninja are actually that of thieves, cutthroats, assassins.
Yeah.
They're not fully shinobi. But when the Western depicted ideas of ninja to combat the samurai, who, yes, there's a time in history where the samurais became very corrupt, and people like shinobi and thieves and farmers and all this other stuff having to fight back against the samurais was true. It's just it didn't play out quite the way that Hollywood imagines it. It was a little bit different. But I don't dismiss it completely and be like, oh yeah, that idea of a dude clad in black with a mask, that never happened. I'm sure it did happen. And there are actually pictures and things outside of Kabuki that show something like that, but they're not listed as shinobi. They're just shadowy figures or whatever.
Like, you don't want to step on people's toes of their lore of the idea.
Right, and also, I don't like how they challenge, like, some of these dojos have been around for centuries, and you have, like, these American scholars that go there after being allowed access to their writings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and they're dismissing these guys who teach ninjutsu as frauds, like holding up that's just wrong.
It's extremely disrespectful.
Yes, exactly.
Of their culture.
And these people, like, they actually allowed these Americans and British people to come in and research these scrolls that are very, very, very old, depicting 14th, 15th, and 13th century.
They shouldn't allow them to come in anymore.
No, they really shouldn't.
That's what I would do. I'd be like, well,
even if things,
you're not allowed anymore.
Even if things came out to be not true, you don't go to a generation of people that have been doing this art of ninjutsu and other martial arts and like just call them liars and stuff like that. You have to find a way that is not going to go, and because Japanese are very honorable people, we as Westerners, we're very rude. I mean, face the fact, like, whatever type of Western person you are, the way that we speak and our mannerisms and how we act are considered very abrasive to Japanese. Like, with Japanese, you have to be very calm-spoken and very polite.
Most Westerners seem abrasive to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I want to move to Japan, because it's difficult.
We have to get back to Yuriko.
Yeah, I mean, but that's my thing is, like, one thing I feel like is very rude is to accuse somebody of something.
Oh, they
without-
don't like that.
Especially if you don't even know the person. Number one, even if you know the person for a long time and you're their friend, accusing somebody of someone, like lying.
We weren't
is
supposed to
extremely
do
rude.
that. That was a liberate mission. The reason why that took so long, that was a liberate mission. We weren't supposed to do that.
Also,
Oops.
you don't see them coming over to, our statues and ancient fountains and stuff like that, and Europe and America, and start like saying like, oh well, this never really happened. St. Columbus was never here. I can prove it. Like, are they gonna come over here and disprove all our stories? Because I'm sure not all our stories are true either.
Well, very few people outside of Japan have been able to read like these old books about the shinobi and things like that. And like I said, like the ninja thing is a huge aspect of Japan's modern culture. It's in everything from anime to video games to books to novels to TV shows and their movies.
That's
and
why I feel like it doesn't matter if it was true or not at this point.
Even if it's like half of it is folklore, it's still very important to like Japan's culture. Just like the samurai is important. And the idea that there was this shadowy figure that could combat a trained warrior like a samurai, and fight for the people and protect like the innocent and stuff like that. That's a big deal to them. And to just like completely dismiss it, I don't like that historical group at all. And I don't like that group of YouTubers either, because I think it's very dismissive. I think it's rude, and it's just not nice.
Well, there actually are like several countries that don't allow Westerners to examine their artifacts, like from many different cultures. I'm surprised that Japan still allows like Westerners to examine their.
I don't know if they are anymore. I mean, they
historical
just started to allow people to do it in like 2013, 2014, and that's when all these new accounts have come out. That's just like, basically making fun.
Yeah, especially it's also in the way that you do it. You can disagree with somebody respectfully, or you can disagree with somebody in a mocking way that's completely dismissive of them and saying, well, everything that you've said in your entire culture forever is complete lie, and you're idiots for thinking this. That's completely rude and completely like, wow.
Man.
You could disagree with it in a completely different way. Like, well, I do understand where you're coming from, but, like, I disagree with some aspects of, this.
This is gonna be cool. Down goes the leader! Oh, actually, that guy's... Wow, that actually worked out pretty well! Holy cow! Now, that was cool! So that was a gunpowder bomb. Look at that! That was very shinobi-like.
Yep. But yeah, it's like the way that they say it too, and it always irks me because even the way that even Westerners like argue with each other on journals and books and stuff like that is, oh, what just happened?
I entered ghost mode and there's nobody around.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like even the way that people disagree with each other in the news and media, they're always aggressively like baiting each other. I even watch like people in the news.
I don't watch news.
When I watch the news, they purposely use insults and baiting techniques so that they try to force the other person to respond. Or if they don't respond, they look like an idiot, which is completely not respectful at all, which is why I feel like we have so much problems. It's not a good way to be.
Well, Frank Miller called it back in the 80s, like when he depicted the news as kind of like a gang-like organization with them like just parading bad news and, fear-mongering and all this stuff. That's pretty much what the news is today. It's been like that even before presidents have called it out on that. I don't think it was ever a good idea to have like talking panels discussing things like this 24/7. It's not good for somebody's like mental state of mind, because it's almost gotten as bad as like some movies that freak people out, but it's like on a 24/7 basis. Like it's nonstop, just visual and horrific bombardment. There's always been horrible things that go on in the world. The difference between modern society and like even 50, 60 years ago, you didn't have a constant reminder of how horrible the atrocities of the world were. When World War II was on, the only way that you would find out what was happening in World War II is you would have to go to a movie theater and you would pay and get a cereal, but they still would not show you all the atrocities that were happening. yes, some of it was propaganda, but at the same time, if Americans learned what was happening during those wars, then you would have had the type of like involvement that happened during Vietnam and even our wars today, where people picket and protests and things like that. It makes it's too much for the public to know about. Some things the public shouldn't know. I really believe that because it creates riots, it creates confusion, it creates violence in your own territory. It breaks up the morale for your troops and all kinds of stuff. You know, even back in the day, like during the time of the samurai, the people here in the farms and stuff, they wouldn't know what's going on during the battles. Like, sometimes the samurais who would stop by and like occupy them, they'd be good or bad. But for the most part, the farmers didn't know everything that was going on during the battlefields. If they did, I mean, it would cause people to psychologically break. Warfare is horrible.
It's too much.
It's not something that people that aren't involved with the war need to be reminded of all the time. Because unfortunately, as humans, there's never really a time where war is going to be gone forever. It's always going to come back. It's always come back as part of our civilization. Ever since we could, walk around and talk to people and, brandish clubs and stones and spears and all this other stuff. Warfare has always been a part of man's history. Even in the modern age, we probably have more... No, I don't think we have more wars now than we did like during the time of the samurai and the knights. And warfare has gotten more intelligent, but it's still very, very bad. Like... I still am...
I'm going to put that quote for you.
War is bad. I'm still a firm believer that hand-to-hand combat back during the time of samurai and knights, Mongols and Persians and stuff like that, very, very nasty. Like, most warfare today is from a distance. It was up close and personal. Centuries and centuries, thousands of years ago. That stuff does stuff to people. And these guys, a samurai was able to take down, like, not just, like, myth-wise, but literally one trained samurai could easily kill 25 men on the battlefield before they died. Most of the time, like, these guys did not walk away from combat,
Oh, so you're saying that they would just...
They were killing machines.
Destroy as many people as possible before they died?
Well, it was very honorable to die in battle, yeah. But it wasn't like a myth that one guy could easily kill like 20 or 30 men. There are accounts of that on the battlefield, but the idea of these guys walking away like gods and not being killed,
maybe
not likely.
A couple of them.
Maybe a couple, but not usually. Because, I mean, hand-to-hand combat is nasty.
Fun discussion.
I know, right? I know a lot about hand-to-hand combat, though. It's not something I could probably talk about. I'm going to be surprised if I don't get demonetized because I talked about some of the Mongol torture and stuff like that in this video. And I'm just thinking, holy crap.
Well, I mean, people...
Oops.
Like, people weren't really... People... I don't know, it's just people talking about this game are not aware of how bad the Mongols really were at
Well, they're
that
snowflakes.
time.
A lot of the people
not
on...
understanding the situation, what that was actually going on.
What? What is it? Yuriko, right? Oh, she's
crying.
Well, yeah, because you're going to do horrible things. We're going to get the ability to poison people now. Yay!
Luke, you're breaking her heart.
We have to.
Luke, she's really sad. You should just come...
She's like my mom.
You need to come back home and just, like, help her knit something.
I feel bad now.
You should.
She's weeping for the man I was.
Excuse me, young master.
Yep.
You caught me thinking about Lord Sakai.
Oh, okay. She's fine.
I try not to do that.
Oh, she seems cute.
He loved you in his way.
That's probably what I'm gonna look like someday.
Enough of the past. We have a blowgun and darts. All I need now is the poison.
Wolfsbane, probably.
Of course, young master. Come with me.
Let's see. This time period,
I have a small camp where I gather plants. And
probably be
herbs for
Wolfsbane.
ointments.
Nasty stuff, by the way.
I just didn't...
It kills vermin within moments.
Make it strong enough for the invaders.
Okay, I guess they're done talking.
I don't know. I keep having people tell me like that, you know, like New York is the only area like in the whole like I don't know. I've heard people say it's the only area in the world that has such colorful trees.
It's nice
But-
to ride with you again.
You and Lord Shimura
Japan.
taught me to ride
I'm looking at this and I'm like,
on
whoa.
that runt pony.
You sat so tall and straight in your little saddle, like you were the shogun himself.
Yeah, parts of Japan. This is all like they have so many different types of. It's a beautiful country. It just, I mean, I've never seen it depicted like this in a game before.
Okay, so whoever, I don't know, we just had a whole discussion on the shinobi and how they like came to be and everything, and we talked about it like an hour ago, so we're not actually talking about that anymore, but this game is about how the shinobi were kind of like, you know, started out with like being special forces as trained as samurai, so
No, the shinobi
Or whatever
were
they are.
samurai.
yeah, the shinobi were the samurai, so I understand
Special
like,
ops.
some people coming in have different opinions, but there is a lot of, you know,
Oh no, little Jin.
What's so funny?
I just remembered it was out here you nearly killed your uncle.
What?
You were 3 or 4. The poor man was trying to teach you how to hold your wooden kodachi. You wanted to chase butterflies.
I know the story. My uncle's black eye took weeks to heal.
Lord Shimura and your father laughed so hard, I fear they'd both choke to death.
Wow.
I don't remember my father's laugh.
He lost his humor after your mother got sick. But you have your father's laugh. Here we are.
You have your father's laugh. That's nice. Yeah, I'm guessing the poison they're going to use is going to be like
And a campfire.
probably wolfbane.
You sleep out here?
Only when I spend the day foraging for plants.
I'm still getting demonetized.
Rest.
I know it.
I will get them for you.
I was too descriptive on Mongol torture methods.
actually I'm the one who was talking about it.
I went too far into it.
Don't eat the seeds, they're poisonous.
I'm not a child, Yuriko.
Oh, I know.
Don't sit too close to the TV. I'm not a child, Grandma.
Great to see you guys coming into the chat. Hi Ethan, hi Blackwing,
She
and
arranged
everybody.
them for the little alcove at home.
Alright, so there's... Okay, a little more.
That should be enough. Bring them to me, young master.
Your plants.
Good. We extract the seeds, crush them, make a paste, and dip the needles.
Make sure the dose is strong.
It should do what you need.
Poison always freaks me out.
It's done.
You're sure he came this way? The old woman has a camp around here somewhere.
Listen. Someone's coming.
Stay there, Yuriko.
Oh, time for a field test.
Let's see if this poison...
Oh my gosh! I was joking! Oh no!
I just want his head. The price that goes with it. How much farther? It's around here somewhere. Let me get my bearings. Hurry up. I don't want to lose him.
Eee. I guess I can hit him anywhere. Oh, this is gonna be nasty. Oh! Oh my gosh! Oh, he's still dying! Oh! Well, it worked! Well, that was something.
Are you hurt, young master?
Nope.
Don't worry. I dealt with them.
Sometimes I forget you're a grown man.
I forget sometimes too. We should get back to the estate.
I'll stay. I need to straighten the place up.
Don't push yourself too hard.
Hush! You are not a child, and I'm old enough to take care of myself.
What other kinds of poison can you make?
Always so impatient. There is another. It causes confusion and rage. But the ingredients... what were they?
Try to remember. It sounds useful.
Ban? Regular?
New person.
Ban.
I mean,
Ooh, we have a lot of techniques. I don't even know what to spend all these on.
What were they? Red leaves? It has petals. A flower. No, not that. Oh, Mother, I wish you were here. Young master, would you like something to eat?
I'm fine. You do.
Don't eat the seeds.
I just need the poison. You were trying to remember the ingredients.
They were flowers. You remember them, don't you? The ones I planted at your family cemetery.
Painful death is fun.
I remember washing the graves. Father made me hold buckets of water from the
it's
lake.
too far back.
He knew it would make you strong and teach you to respect your ancestors. Don't you remember the flowers, Jin?
Spider lilies.
That's right.
Too far back.
Yeah, they're gone. It's fine. Alright, so I guess we're gonna
Enough
hang out
spider
with...
lilies. You can craft a poison that makes rats go mad. Tear each other to pieces. It's awful.
It's for a good cause. Just make it strong enough to work on men.
If you think it's necessary,
Oh my gosh!
I know exactly where to find what we need. This way.
Oh, I really don't want to end the
This
quest
part
with
of the
poison
forest.
stuff. I don't like poison.
I was here when I was a child.
After your mother passed away,
I refused to believe she was gone. So I ran from home and came here.
your mother loved to take long walks here.
I searched until sundown. I kept shouting for her. But she was gone. I was lost.
You were missing for 3 days. Nearly dead by the time your father found you.
I've never seen him so angry.
Angry at himself for failing to protect you. I've seen your father before countless battles, and he was never more worried than the sleepless nights he spent searching for his only son. Not much farther to the cemetery. I wonder what your father would make of the ghost.
He would disapprove, like my uncle.
Don't be so sure. They argued often. Kazumasa thought your uncle too rigid, willfully blind to possibilities. Kazumasa had imagination.
Imagination? My father?
You're like him in more ways than you know.
So we're doing a Yoriko side quest.
She seems so
Careful.
nice.
Disrespecting the dead.
Stay here.
She's so much nicer than the other crazy lady.
Didn't you just say stay here? Where are you going? Stay
Yeah.
hidden.
You told her to stay there.
No, we're not gonna do a standoff.
Somebody said that they wouldn't mind like a K history, like fun facts, like video.
Maybe sometime, but the problem with doing like discussions and things like that is the gameplay does suffer a little bit because yeah, I have to think to talk.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know how often I'm going to use the poison though. It freaks me out. I don't like poison. Does he have his back turned?
Yeah, it looks like his back.
Good. Oh, that was fun. Alright, I should be able to... You know what? I don't think that's gonna work. We'll be closer now.
I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. If I'm gonna stream something or not. So it's very pokey, the top of that.
Yeah, that would have done me in. Well, I mean, we can... I guess. Oh.
It's weird that the tents almost look like teepees, kind of. Just interesting.
Wait, what happened?
But we must set an example for our people by remaining true to our code and to ourselves.
And I broke the game again.
For now. After the Mongols are gone, I won't need it.
Luke, is that guy okay?
No. No, he's not the okay. Huh. Whoops. Oh, that's gross. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm out of poison now. I don't know. Yeep. Ooh. That's gotta leave a mark. Love you too, sweetie.
I had fun. It's nice hearing everybody. A lot of people had fun ninja facts in this game.
Yeah, I can't read the chat because I'm playing, so you were a big help. Thank you, sweetie. Surprise! What? Where exactly are you? Oh. Hello. Hello, hello. I'm not running away. I'm doing stuff. We need that guy to go look somewhere else. You just sliced that guy's head off. Did you kill him? Nah. Nah, I didn't kill him. He's sleeping. He's sleeping. I broke the game again. Yeah, I keep going on, and there's no... I mean, what would be awesome, though, is if in Tenchu... Or not... My gosh, I'm calling this game Tenchu now. Be awesome if in this game, the sequel or whatever, how you played it or whatever impacted how the next game would be. That would be awesome. But, I mean, I guess they never thought about that. Other than the world changing based on what you're doing, like whether you're playing as an assassin or being honorable, the weather, that's about as much as happens with the game. I wish it changed the story. Like, your actions become so horrific that there's no hope for Jin's soul or something. Whereas if you play as a samurai, maybe there wouldn't be as much of repercussions. Because I honestly feel that his uncle is going to try to kill him. And the reason why he's going to do that is because he's honor bound to do so. Like the shogun or maybe some like samurai council or something is going to cause him to be like, yes, you saved our people, but at what cost? And I taught you better than this, so the only way that I can save your honor is by killing you. And I feel that would be very stupid and kind of sad, but I just, based on the type of Kodo samurai that existed in the 13th century, you know, prior to their ratifying a lot of their beliefs and stuff like that after the Mongol invasion, I don't see things ending well for Jin. So, I don't know. I mean, I think he'll survive, but I think he'll be, like, blacklisted from his family or his whole... it wouldn't be uncommon in samurai times that if a member of your family did something so dishonorable, not only would your entire family be shamed or something, a shogun could actually break up your house and you would be the last of your line. Like, they would just bring in another samurai to replace you. Your entire whole family, it doesn't matter how many generations you were around, if you did something to tick off the shogunate that was like treason or something like that, your entire generations would be screwed. Be stripped of your rank of samurai, and then some other noble would move in and take your house over. So, I mean, I see that happening to Jin, personally. Regardless if he doesn't die in the game or something like that. That would suck, but, I mean, it's happened. The Shogun is very, very strict. And Jin is not acting like a samurai. I could understand if this game took place in, like, the 1500s or something like that, but it's 1200s, late 1200s, the invasion of the Mongols. 1270, 1280, I don't know. Probably 1274. Is that a big boy? Is that a big boy right there? You big boy? Did he see me? You want to climb up here too, buddy? Have a party? Party time! Sweet. Did he see me? Crud! Woohoo! Also, I wish there was a way that you could actually upgrade your weapons. Like, it'd be cool to add poison to your weapon. That'd be pretty epic. I don't think that's gonna work. Oh, we saved our ghost powers for later. That's fine. Now remember, I'm playing this game blind with you guys, so I have no idea what's going on. So if I'm, you know, spot on with something, I have a nasty habit of doing that. Apologies, but I don't know how this game's story ends. Everything that you're seeing happening is happening live. So if I'm on, like, whatever, don't spoil it for me. It's one of the reasons why I don't read the chat, is I'm just theorizing that that could happen, because it's happened to samurai before. You don't tick off the shogunate.
Yes, it's safe to look for the spider lilies.
Why would we look for them here?
Isn't this where you used to plant them?
Oh, no, not here. It's been so long. They're in another cemetery. Your great aunt's branch of the family. It's not far.
Uh-oh. She may be losing her mind.
Yuriko, do you remember I was 5 or 6. I had a nightmare about this forest. A fight.
It wasn't a nightmare. I told you it was to keep you calm.
That was real? I remember men shouting.
Our retinue was returning home late one night. We were ambushed by Ronin.
The Ronin must have been dangerous. My father's samurai were frightened.
Not of the Ronin. Of Kazumasa.
Of my father? Why?
He and his samurai drove the Ronin off. But Kazumasa pursued them on foot. You could hear their screams. He returned to us just before dawn, covered in blood. Some of his own men mistook him for a demon of the forest.
Whoa! That's pretty cool.
Do you recognize this lake?
We used to meditate here.
How you'd fidget.
You told me to pretend I was a rock, and all I wanted was to swim.
The view's much better from the shore. Join me, young master. These old bones need a rest.
We're gonna do haiku?
This time you'll have to keep me from fidgeting.
Whoops!
Some of my favorite memories happened at this lake.
Stopping a child's fidgeting?
Your mother and I would come here when she was pregnant with you.
We should keep moving.
A grown man, and you still can barely sit still.
We can meditate again. After the war.
Yes, young master.
Okay, that's my horse. Your horse is over there. There you go. I said we weren't going to 100% this game. We've pretty much are 100%ing this game, aren't we? Whoops. I love it so much. Can't help it.
Quickly, Nobu!
The cemetery isn't far.
Feels much closer when you're not carrying water.
Beautiful. I gotta see what this armor looks like in all black. I hope there's an option.
How could they?
They may break stone, but they cannot erase the memory of these warriors.
Please gather the spider lilies. I can't bear to look.
Wow, desecrating another grave? Man. Mean. Yep.
My Aunt Matsu would weep at the condition of this place. Most of these warriors fell in the rebellion at Yarikawa. They deserve better than this.
Is that everything? What's up?
This is all I could find.
It is enough to make the poison, but I don't want our time to end.
The Shimura Cemetery isn't far.
With a view of the waterfall. Let's go, my lord.
This is an interesting field trip. So weird. Man, I hope nothing happens to... This lady's essentially like his grandma.
Kazumasa, I do enjoy our rides together.
Did you say Kazumasa?
Did I? You ride with your father's grace.
Did you often go riding with my father?
Lord Sakai taught me to ride a horse.
Wait a second. Did this lady... She wasn't, Why would his dad take her horseback riding? No. Well, I mean, I guess it could be possible. How old would his father have been now? Is Jin supposed to be like 30?
Careful, Mongols ahead.
Wait, I can mix the new poison for you.
We're essentially going to give them rabies, aren't we?
How does it work?
Oh, it's terrible. Causes madness. They'll turn on each other like wild beasts.
Good. Make it. Quickly.
Disturbing.
The poison is finished. Take it.
Hallucination dart? Oh, crud.
I'll stay here.
Yeah, you probably should. Smoke bomb. How do I bring the darts out? Oh. Kill enemy investigating a free what? Oh, a firecracker. Okay. Nani? Whoa, that's a big base. Ah, crud. It's a good day to die. What about your mittens? Ah, stupid bird! Ooh! I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to use one of my sticky bombs. Dang it! Ah, crud. I didn't want to do that. I mean, it was effective, don't get me wrong, but... I did not want to do that. Dang it. I'll throw kunai. I mean, I guess that's one way to take care of that, but, that's not how I wanted to do that. What? Stupid bird! Woohoo! No, you sick. What? Whoa! Oh! I'm on fire! I'm on fire! I'm on fire! I'm on fire! Woohoo! Woohoo! Okay, you know what? That's... Stupid bird! Ugh. Whoa! Whoa! Almost. Oh. That was the entire base? Oh. Whoops. I did not test it out. I forgot what I was doing. Whoops. I mean, I still won. Hooray, but... Whoops. Oh, that's on me. In my defense, the bird messed me up. In my defense, the bird messed me up. Stupid bird. That was not very stealthy, I apologize. Oh, gosh. I'm a little upset now. I wanted to turn him into a berserker. Oh well. I had one job and I failed. I mean, I didn't die. I don't die anymore, but still. But still. Look at all the fun stuff we missed out on. There was a, is there a bee's nest? I thought I saw a bee's nest somewhere. Cool rooftops we could have gone. I'll tell you what, those birds make it really hard to do stealth. This point in the game. Like those, bird scouts. Wicked annoying. Yeah, I'm a little annoyed. I'm disappointed. Darn. Eh, can't be helped, I guess. Sorry, guys.
I thought we rid ourselves of those bandits.
They're not bandits.
Not bandits, Mongols.
Oh, I couldn't see them from here. After all this, I'm worried about the Shimura cemetery, my lord. Would you check on it with me?
Of course, Yuriko. Let's have a look.
Ah! I didn't get to test the new poison!
Are you tired, Yuriko?
No, Lord Sakai. This is the best day I've had since our afternoon at Lake Omi.
I don't remember that. You are sure that was me?
It was so long ago. You must have forgotten.
You got with my dad, didn't you? I hope not.
The war hasn't touched this place.
Wow, this is nice. That's why I hate the birds. I know, right? What are you doing, Zelda?
Do you remember, young master? We pay our respects to the Shimura warriors buried here. Then spent the afternoon writing poems.
I remember, Yuriko.
Let's write one now.
We're gonna do haiku? Haiku?
Soaring ambition. Stone abides rushing water. Life flows into death.
Well said, my lord. The proud do not endure. The greatest of us fall in the end.
We should return to Omi.
I'll stay a while.
I know better than to argue.
Good. You learned something today. Kazumasa used to say Lord Shimura was too concerned with that castle.
The strongest point on the island.
He equated strength with the huge, the immovable, like a mountain.
He had a point. Doubt and indecision have destroyed armies. In the midst of battle, true leaders must stay rooted, stand firm.
But look at that waterfall. Oh, that immovable rock yields to water. The strength we need is all around us. I have one more place I would like to visit, my lord. When you're ready.
Wow, we got a lot of points. Holy cow. What are we gonna buy? Alright, we're doing all of Yuriko tonight. She's dying. No, don't die, lady. Come on. Don't die. Jin's fine. Mostly. Yeah, I never use that. Hardly use that anymore either. That's fine. Don't care. I mean, that would help if I use that. Healing incense. Wow, not much stuff left. Whoops. Well, I mean, you got mythic stuff. Way of the Flame. Oh! I can what? Complete the Undying Flame to learn this technique. What? I can set people on fire? Ah. What?
Excuse me. The cold wind is getting to me.
Yuriko, you're not well.
Nonsense.
Let me take you to Akashima. They can treat you.
We have to visit someplace special.
Where?
It's not far. After that, I promise, we will see your healers.
Fine. But if you start feeling worse, we go straight to Akashima.
Of course, my lord. Always so stern.
Oh my gosh, she was with her dad. She was with his dad. Ooh. Yikes.
Where is this special place of yours?
You'll see.
You cannot tell me?
I won't have to.
She keeps mistaking him for his father, too. This is kind of creepy.
Lead the way.
Let's see if you can keep up.
Careful, Yuriko.
Dude, she's dying. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think she got with his dad at one point in life. She keeps mistaking the son for the father.
Do you know where we are?
There's an onsen around here, isn't there?
She's like a mother to him. I think this was the father's mistress.
There it is. Shall we take a closer look?
A hot springs.
Isn't it beautiful?
Very. Why are we here?
Are you upset? I hope it's not wrong of us to come.
I don't understand.
It's so painful to see you weighed down by sadness with Lady Sakai and the little...
Ah!
Yuriko, are you alright?
It's nothing. I just felt a little faint.
When did you last eat?
Yesterday, I think.
Wait here. I'll find us something.
I'm not a child.
Please, Yuriko.
Oh my gosh, she was the mistress! Ah!
Since you ask so sweetly.
I'll be back soon.
Yikes.
Maybe there's game nearby.
Yikes, 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 yikes. No, 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 no! No, no, no! Oh, man, Jin! Your dad was not loyal to your mom! Oh, dude! Ooh! Sweetie, did you take your BP? Alright, babe. I was right. And I'm disturbed. Whoa, that's a lot of pigs. What? Whoa! Fried bacon?
I'll bring this to Yuriko. Make her eat a little.
Oh, please. No, no, no. Maybe he didn't return her advances. Maybe. They went horseback riding together. They went on walks. It's not looking good, guys. I think that Jin's dad was one of the bad ones.
Yuriko! Yuriko! Her horse isn't here. She rode off.
Wait, we need to use this. We can't use this, can we? Well, we'll come back and use this hot spring. Actually, you know what? I don't want to come back and use this hot spring, actually. Oof. Oof.
Powder. Herbs. She came this way. Yuriko's horse. She can't be far.
There's a shrine nearby. She had to go in the woods.
Yuriko!
My lord.
Oh, this is sad.
Yuriko, are you hurt?
No. I got lost.
Where were you going?
I saw my mother. She waved but kept walking. I had to catch up.
I'm bringing you home.
No. My mother. I have to make an offering.
You do not.
Please. For all the times I've done as you asked. Come with me. Let me pay respects to my mother.
All right. But don't push yourself.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
My mother would take me on long walks in these hills and teach me about the plants.
Maybe that's why you saw her.
Did you take some of those hallucination plants? Maybe. A little bit.
We're almost there.
This is probably gonna end bad. This is gonna be sad.
Cemetery.
My family is here.
Oh my gosh. That's a beautiful view.
Kazumasa. That night, you brought little Jin to me. And he was so sick after all that time in the forest. We had already lost Lady Sakai. Kazumasa, are you listening?
I'm listening.
I made him drink that remedy my mother taught me. We sat by his side the whole night. You held my hand. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
That night, I was so scared, so sad for little Jin. But I was so happy. Does that make me a bad person?
No.
When he recovered, when you taught me how to ride, the day we rode to the onset, the sunset was red and full.
That was what?
The best day of my life. It's dark, Kazumasa. Tell me what you see.
Castle Kaneda.
I wish you weren't there so often.
Why do you say that?
You have many responsibilities. I am grateful for the time we share. But I always want more.
I can see all the way to Yarikawa.
I remember the war. A tragedy for all the clans.
Good people remain there. There's the temple in Kushi. You can see the pagoda.
Every new year, I pray there for you and little Jin and my family.
Jin is lucky you take such good care of him. Now tell me what you see. Yuriko. Rest, Yuriko. The strength we need is all around us. The mighty fall at last, to be no more than dust before the wind.
My gosh. His dad's mistress. Oh my goodness. That had to be a shock for Jin. Man, to learn that stuff about your parents. Wow. Jin is solid as a rock. Jeez. Oh boy. All right, where's that hot spring at? Hmm. I hope he didn't cheat.
Father and uncle recovered at a nearby onsen after they stopped the Yarikawa rebellion.
It took place after Jin's mom passed away? Okay. That's okay. As long as it didn't happen when Jin and his, you know, when the mother was still alive. Although it wasn't uncommon for samurai to do that. Take concubines and mistresses and stuff like that. Fox! Ooh! That did not end well. Uh-oh. Where we going, buddy? Yeah, Jin is rough, though. Just lost, basically, his mom. His best friend betrayed him. His uncle's probably going to betray him. Not a good day for Jin. We didn't get all the foxes, though. Did we? Bah! Oh, we almost have all the fox shrines. No, we don't. What am I talking about? That looked like a 19. That's a 49. 8 more hot springs. Tons of vanity gear. More pillars of honor. More haikus. Duels are done. Shinto shrines are not. There's 16? Holy cow. 8 lighthouses in total I've done. I can't do the bamboo strikes. I'll never get platinum on this because I can't do the bamboo stuff. Alright, I want to see what this... Oh, can pet the fox. Sad fox. It's okay, fox. It's okay. Alright. So the fox den is complete. Where? No. Is this it? Yes. Oh my gosh. Alright, let's see if this armor is black. Does it come in black? What's up?
Cloak yourself in darkness.
I plan to. Oh! Oh! Whoa! Okay, that's epic.
You look like twilight.
Yeah. Undiscovered armor? What armor's left?
Thank you.
What armor's left? Looks pretty cool. The bandana needs to go, though. Bandana's not. No. 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 No, I guess that can stay. I don't know. Dang, he looks cool. Woohoo! Pretty dope. Alright. So the only story aspect left is A Reckoning in Blood. And we have all these mini little quests, which I really don't care for. If I don't see a face on these quests, I don't really care for these. It doesn't... Buried deep... doesn't look like of interest to me. Personally. Straw Hat Encampment. Wait, there's one more story left? All right. I'll do this one. Man, that was depressing. It was kind of depressing. You can put the mask in that color too. Look at the upgrades for the onset. Wait, I can change the way the mask looks too? For reals? Lord of the Night. I mean, wasn't it always black though? Meh. Cool.
Who let a dog into the dojo?
Who's that? You just call me a dog? I will end you, son. Guess it doesn't matter who I talk to. Ow.
I'm looking for a girl named Kuma.
Girls, boys, chickens. I have it all. For the right price, call them whatever you like.
Fool. Do you know a girl by the name of Kuma?
The merchant's daughter? Yeah, I know her. Haven't seen her in days, though.
I need to find her.
Sorry. Can't help you.
Days is not good. Wait, where did that... No, where's the Ronin right there?
I need to find a girl named Kuma.
I don't know anyone's name, and I don't want to. Leave me be.
Hey, warrior, over here.
I know who you're looking for.
You know Kuma?
Yes, but we can't talk here. Follow me.
You better not be leading me into a trap, yo. It will not end well for you.
I knew it was too good to be true.
Something's wrong. Her mother hasn't seen her in days.
We can speak privately here. Kuma is a friend. Last I saw her, she was leaving with a man who promised her a job.
What kind of job?
Running an inn. She wanted to earn some money for her mother. Made me promise not to spoil the surprise.
Where's the inn?
Numanaka Inn, up the main road.
This is the last quest, guys, for tonight. Up the main road. Probably not a good idea to be climbing on all these guys. Blowing up. Okay, it looks like we're making our way over. Yeah, the mask just doesn't... Where are we going? Why is that Ronin just... whatever. So we're looking for an inn? Another shrine. Free arrows. What was that? Please don't be a bear. Is it a bear? Yikes. I do not intend to win. How are you not attacking your friends? Oh, there we go, guys. Dang, that guy was skilled. There, you got to see the hallucination stuff. Good? Actually, it looks like it doesn't... I don't know if the poison would actually kill them or not. I think it just causes them to hallucinate. I might watch a ninja movie tonight. I don't know. I haven't decided.
The Monaca Inn. Kuma should be here.
Decent sized base. Yeah, this is the last big area we're doing tonight, guys. I know we're probably over 3 hours, but... crud. Enjoy your drink. Darn it. Bad guy's actually farming. Slow and steady. I got it. Patience. Is he trying to cook his stick? Whoops. That could have been very bad. Whoops. I did not know there was a guy there. That could have ended badly.
Some kind of noise. Let's see.
Crud.
He's still around.
Ah, crap.
What are you doing? What's happening? Stop!
He's just going around hitting everybody. Wait, does it run off? Wait. That wasn't as cool as I had hoped. It runs out. Lame.
He's near.
Get down! No need to touch.
Please. They forced me to do it. I never wanted to hurt anyone.
I'll be with you in a second.
Who's there?
Death.
Please. They forced me to do it. I never wanted to hurt anyone.
How could they just let the guy who randomly attacked them live? I don't get that. Dude went out of his way to... Ah, whatever.
Let's see.
Man, I thought the poison would have killed you, dude.
Snuck through the grass. Coward, get off.
I'm the coward. Sure I am. Whatever helps you sleep at... Oh, wait, nope, dead. Sorry, never mind. I was gonna say, what helps you sleep at night, but... You're not sleeping anymore. Is that everybody? Thank you. Man, I thought that... Alright. What's the story, lady?
Forced you to do what?
Rob people. They made me wait on the roadside, calling for help. Most people would stop. Some wanted to help. Others.
It's over now. Let's get you home.
Whoops. Wow, how did you do that? That was impressive. Do you know the way home? I have no poison. This may be the right way. Oh no. Oh.
Mother.
This is foolish. Surrender, and you can live.
Girls, boys, chickens. I have it all. For the right price, call them whatever you like.
Time to end this.
This guy's insane. The sale of chicken is over. Next time, stock beef.
My lord, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could help. How did you find us?
I followed you. Saw you talking to that Ronin. After you left, I approached him myself.
That was brave. Ronin are dangerous, unpredictable.
Nothing compares to the fear of losing your child.
I didn't think I'd ever see you again.
Cool. All right. Can't think of really, I mean, some trapper stuff. Generosity of, oh yeah, we'll do Lady Sanjo tomorrow. And then this one, The Reckoning in Blood. Oh wait, what's this one? There's a shrine near with smoke coming from it. Oh. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Cool. Okay. Alright, so anyway, guys and gals, that is going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Runtime was about a little over 3 hours, something like that, but we're done for the night. Thanks so much for hanging out. Next episode will be tomorrow at 11-ish, something like that. Wow, I don't know. That was a pretty sad episode. It was. But anyway, I had fun talking to you guys about the Mongols and the samurai and shinobi and thieves tonight. It was cool. Probably getting demonetized, so, but mainly for some of the more gruesome aspects of the conversation, more likely. Probably wasn't family friendly, yet neither is lopping off heads of enemies, but YouTube likes to pick and choose what they demonetize people for. But have a great night. See you guys tomorrow around the same time. Later, people. Thanks so much for watching. More Ghost of Tsushima.